It's a secret to it,
And
we're
then-
supposed to conceal it.
The only place to
Yeah,
rent
so
an
that's-
Eagle, I almost 64%.
But I do it because I don't have a permit,
I
and I consider it, I carry it.
And
Yeah, you have to go through that.
didn't have any money.
If I get in trouble, I get mad. That's what I used to do.
I got Sweetwater,
But
which
you- I'm not,
There's a local
you're talking
record
about old
for it,
people
so-
and license.
Forget the
That's
milk
the one
at the
that's got
grocery
people.
store.
I know.
And
They really
it-
discriminate against us. Yeah.
When you leave
Well,
this thing, when
you
there's
really
snow,
realize
you
the
know,
top
4 feet on the ground, you got a
I'm
house,
saying,
all
come
Colorado
over and
River.
drink a beer with me. I have to do that.
I'm leaving
I
here,
open my bar at 3
and
o'clock.
an hour later, it's the
Every
emergency
night,
siren
I
goes
close
off,
at 5
Sweetwater.
o'clock.
The open door's gonna be an issue.
You wouldn't have stopped.
You know,
Yeah.
You know, if you
It's
did
always
something,
your
you're
fault.
wrong.
There's no grass. Boy, am I been busy.
I love visiting the snow, I don't miss living down there anymore.
There you go. Oh, I missed it.
I love going back to visit. Yeah, I don't miss scraping my car.
How are you doing?
Good, how about you?
Good, you're a friend of Dave Woodley's.
I'm sorry, yeah, I am.
Yeah, we went over
Should
to
we-
his house last time I was here a year ago.
Sore, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I saw you now, I knew your face looked familiar, but I didn't.
I had you guys to it, I don't remember your name.
Yeah, Dave's having fun playing with all of
Yeah, I had.
this stuff in our church and trying to keep the church open. I
Yeah.
don't know how you guys are set up in here.
Geez.
Do I sit on your lap?
Not really.
No?
You guys are
You hear that? You hear that? Yeah, she didn't
No, you guys
say
are
it that
fine.
way, you know?
Wes, you're in the corner, sorry, sir. I'll push your chair over here so we can keep our social distance.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Lake Tahoe Paper Community Services District meeting. It's November 16th. And if the secretary, please note, we do have appropriate number of directors. Director Hankemeyer is absent at this point. He may be in later due to family issues. We'll be starting the meeting at 1:05 p.m. on today. So thank you very much. Please stand for the flag salute. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
That's your.
So we'll open the meeting up to the public. If there's any comments or anything that you'd like to address that's not on the agenda. I think we can hear you, so I'll say if you just stand where you're at and speak. So Wes, I'll let Wes, he raised his hand first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's
Go
okay.
ahead. Go ahead, Wes.
Now, let me pass this out to you, and I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to disappear. I'll give these other stuff. Cindy. Oh, thank you. What about you? I did get this, the reports and things on Friday, but I didn't have a chance to look at them, so I just looked through the reports this morning. And I wanted to make a comment on a couple of things because there's a trend that I see that I question. First of all, for example, the waste shrinkage report, I'm going to guess your waste is closer to 39%. I couldn't figure out what the shrinkage report said. But the real reason I'm here is this NBS report and the price increase. I wanted to go over a couple of things. First of all, I hope you didn't pay $50,000, $60,000 for that accounting paperwork because that's not where the value is in using a consultant if you want to try to raise these rates through a 218. It has not been 5 years, Patrick. I mean 10 years. It's been 5 years.
Would you
since we've had-
address us, okay?
I'm sorry?
Just address us, please. Talk to us instead of Patrick. 'Cause you're-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, okay. Then Patrick said that it's been 5 years, okay? It's been 10 years since we made that increase. The last rate increase, the effective of the last rate increase was 5 years ago.
Okay.
And so it's been 5 years, not 10 years, that we haven't had rate increases. When you read that OES report, it Well, if you read the OES report, it says you're going to have to follow the affordability and the income measurements in order to have an allowable deal with the with your pricing, because we are a what do you call it? I forgot what we call it now. We're not disabled, but a disadvantaged. And as a disadvantaged, you've got to follow the affordability testing. Nothing in there that I saw that had anything to do with the affordability testing. And Campa's pet consultants that he used had to really play with the numbers to get us to be to fit the
Disadvantage.
I'm sorry, disadvantage, yeah, because we really were not disadvantaged. And so you're going to have the same problem now. Matter of fact, it's a little worse if you look at the numbers as being disadvantaged. And nothing in there was discussing that. The last increase was in 2015, and it was a 100% increase. This increase looks like it's a 136% increase
Sorry.
over the period of time. And when you look at the capacity and the things, there's all kinds of, our CSD, I love the CSD, or I wouldn't have been into it quite a few years ago. I think there's a real place for CSD, but we've sure not done a really great job. If you take a look at your payroll, for example, right out of the CPA reports, in 2013, and I'm going through, we had a $376,000 payroll, then it went to $453,000, then $393,000, then $298,000, then $425,000, then $338,000, $410,000, and now this year we're projecting $663,000, and you want to increase our rates 136%. These kind of things just don't make sense. Besides the legality, it doesn't make sense when you're supposed to be representing the community, not representing, payrolls and jobs and things of that nature. Not that it's not necessary. I'm just saying these kind of situations just are not compatible. And I was confused on your generator costs too. You're talking about $300,000 in this OES report, and when I look at this report, I didn't see that $300,000. I see $800,000 or $900,000 out 3 or 4 years, but I couldn't relate to having a plan and trying to get a grant, and the numbers aren't there to support one another. I don't have any more time, but I'm sure if I did, I could have found more stuff in there, in the reports. And I want to criticize Patrick a little bit, just to hear. No, wait, hear me through.
You can talk about this issue, Wes. I'm not going to Wes, stop.
Okay.
Stop. We're not going to beat anybody up in these
No, I
meetings.
wasn't going to beat him up. I was
If you
going to
want
make
to
a
talk to
suggestion.
Patrick, if you want to talk to Patrick, you contact Patrick at the office. I'm not
Okay.
going to play these games, period.
It wasn't.
No, we're not going to
Read
do
it,
it.
and you'll find out, Danny. I'm not.
I've gone through it, so we're not going to beat up people. We're not going to do that.
I wasn't beating you up.
Well, when you start with the word criticize, I'm not going to tolerate it, period. So, I thank you for your time and your information, and
Hey Wes, I'll give you a call when we had a couple points on.
I'm sorry?
If you have a couple points, I'll have you clarify, I'll call you. Thank you.
That's good. You know where to find me. Everybody knows where to find me.
thank you, Wes.
Okay.
Bye, Dee.
Okay, Dan, you wanted to address the board?
I'll keep this very brief. Last year I was in here in May and gave you a quote on purchase power agreements, which is the simplest way to understand it. That was 7 to 10 cents a kilowatt hour. I can promise you it's down to 6 to 9 cents a kilowatt hour. You're paying about 24, 20 at non-peak and 28 at peak, and it averages out about 23, 24.
What are we talking about?
This is
Solar,
Oh, I wasn't here then.
for a larger solar project of, say, 500 kilowatts, which is half a megawatt, it costs you no money out of time, no money out of pocket. It would be guaranteed for 25 years by one of the 4 largest companies in the world, in the country for solar, and They're the only company that pays for the PPA out of their own funds. They don't go to the bank, they do it themselves. They're that big. All that being said, you can have, I would be your representative, your client advocate doing what's best for the CSD. Don't get me wrong, I'll get paid for this. But I get paid by doing a good job for you, or you're not gonna do it. It's simple as that. So, Patrick's got my business card. I live here at Don Arbolada Drive. I've done CSDs, I've done water companies, I've done the whole 9 yards. REC my favorite. If Sydney and Patrick gave me 2 hours for twice a week, we could define if the purchase, which would cost you no money out of pocket, would make you more money long run than the PPA. But they both make it, if you cut it down by more than, I can promise you, you'll cut your rates in by more than 50%, maybe 2/3. So,
If you have a card, I'll take a card if you got one.
I'm sorry?
If you have a card, I'll take one.
He would like your business card probably for himself.
Or do you only have one and give it to him?
Your card?
Yeah, business card.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm deaf and I forgot to put in my hearing aid.
No worries.
Oh, well,
No worries.
there are no excuses.
I'm sorry, sir.
How about you contact me?
We've talked, actually.
Yeah, we have. Yeah. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
sir.
I said short, we're out.
Thank you, Dan, appreciate it.
Guys have fun.
Thank you, sir.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
See you later.
Okay, I'm gonna say any other public comment, just to make sure that we're okay here. Any other comments? Okay, all right. Well, then we'll move on to the closing the public comment session. For presentation as officers report, I don't have anything to report out at this point in time, so I'm gonna go directly to Patrick for his report.
Can I interject?
Yes, you can.
Even though I have this listed on the agenda this way, since we have people that are presenting today, if you want to move them up, that's fine to do. You don't have to vote on it or anything, just for convenience, so they don't have to sit through all the
Don't we have to
reports.
at least do by consensus?
You have a comment over here.
No, you don't have to do it by consensus.
Well, you know what? We are. So I'm in favor of moving it.
Yeah.
No? You're okay with moving the presentation ahead?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
It won't
if
be
you'd
in
like
the
to go
minutes.
ahead, we'll go ahead and hear what you, and I'm assuming that the presentation is on the NBS, the rate.
Yes, correct.
Yes, sir, I should have. This is Jordan Taylor and
Yes.
Kim Baylor.
Baylor. I always have one.
And we should have moved the podium up, so you can get your
Yes.
paperwork
Spelled
on
very
it.
funny, yeah.
It's
So
been a busy
we've
day.
spoken a lot in the past year via email and a conference call. This is the first time I'm meeting them, but they're here from Southern California, and here they are.
Where in Southern California? Where in Southern California?
Our firm is based in Temecula,
Oh, okay.
about an hour northeast of
Orange
San Diego.
County.
Actually Riverside County.
What is?
Yeah, we're Southern California wine country, about an hour northeast of San Diego. So just on the very south side of the Riverside County before San Diego.
All right. And again, one last thing. Patrick failed to get the TV working today. The HDMI cord is missing, so we're going to follow along with our presentation in our board packet.
It is in, or where's it start?
It starts on page 20. It's very easy to follow, and it's, yes.
I'll walk you guys through it as well. So let me know when everyone is at the right page and I'll start.
Why don't you come on up where we can, if you
Absolutely.
want to, that way.
Absolutely.
I can move the podium if you like.
Whatever you guys want.
You got whatever you're comfortable, we're
Can we sit for a
comfortable
podium?
with.
Yeah, because it's uncomfortable just
That
standing in
way,
the living room.
we won't get a kink in our neck and we can see you.
I don't mind.
Yeah, get where you're comfortable, where you
We
can
were
see
just
us
running
and we
behind
can
in the
hear
office, so.
whatever you're comfortable with.
Thank you.
Page, starts on page 20, no. Keep going. There you go. Okay. Hi.
All right, excellent. So thank you, Patrick, for the introduction. Again, I'm Jordan, this is Kim. We've been working with Patrick really closely for while now, several months, to put this together for you guys. The number one question we are asked when we are presenting this is, what is a rate study? There's three components to a rate study that are pretty typical industry standard. First, we look at the financial plan. Then we analyze the cost of service to make sure that it will work with Prop 218. And then finally, we look at the rate design. And this is the ratio of fixed versus variable percentages of your net revenue requirement that kind of show the rate design. So first, we're going to go over the financial plan. When you're looking at a financial plan, you want to prioritize your funding. So that, in this case, the first thing you want to be able to fund is O&M expenses. Second is any debt. Third, any capital needs. And finally, you want to make sure your reserve funds are healthy and meeting target levels. So on the third page is your first chart. It's operations and maintenance. The blue bars in this chart represent your current expenses, and the flat line, black line, are your current revenues. So as they are currently, your current rates are funding your O&M expenses.
What is it? What?
I'm sorry, say that again?
I'm not finding, because ours are all just black.
Okay,
We have
but-
no color.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, page 24, we're funding it. We're
Like you're basically saying right now, this is our O&M and maintenance. I'll say what we're spending on an annual basis and what we're projected to spend. And currently our rates cover those costs. We are making it.
operations and maintenance. Yes.
There's a difference between the cost of those and the income.
Correct.
Based on today's rates.
And the flat line was what?
The flat line are your current
Income.
revenues?
Income or projected income?
Well, just
Or
remember,
projected
we're
income.
on black and white or black and blue.
No, that's good to know. Thank you. I didn't know that.
Okay.
All right, then if we go to the next page, this is what the district's debt service is looking like. Currently, there's only one outstanding loan out and about. That's the muni loan. That's through fiscal year 34-35 is when that loan matures. The annual amount for that is just under $60,000 a year. We're also assuming in this rate study, we're assuming a new SRF loan for is it the Deepwater
Yes, the
intake?
USDA Deepwater Intake Program.
So we are assuming that loan will come into effect in fiscal year 22-23 and mature in 20 years.
I have
And-
a question for you.
Go ahead.
I hate to interrupt you,
Not at all.
but that loan is supposed to be paid off in 23. What did you get, how do we get to 34, 35?
That came with the documents that we
The
got.
documents must be wrong, because 23 is when that's supposed to be paid off, because I was here when that thing started, and 23, we've been hearing, is the last year of that. And Cindy has a schedule in her office on the wall.
Can we get to the presentation first?
I know, but you're telling something that is not true, and she's basing something on something that I think is not true, but go ahead.
We're happy to update that if need be. So then the next chart, and I realize it's in black and white, so bear with me here. The bars now are a little bit bigger. So it looks like in that the addition of the bars is in a white. That represents the debt. So as it stands now, the current rates do cover both O&M and the debt service that we're assuming.
In the debt service you're referencing here is what we have currently.
Correct.
That's like the 60,000 that you mentioned.
Yes, and then the 91 is the assumption for the
USDA Deepwater Intake.
yeah, the 1.5 million for that. So after we look at debt payments, we want to look at your capital improvement program. So over the next 5 years, the capital improvement program is about $3.4 million. The overall capital improvement program for the district exceeds $25 million. So those are some numbers to keep in mind here. And then the next graph shows the same graph, but now we have capital improvement projects on it. So this is where we're starting to see that the district is running into issues funding our capital. And you can see that just because those bars are now above the line. All right, so now putting expenses aside for a slide, we want to look at your reserve funds. And these are the current reserve targets for your operating reserve, capital facility reserve, water supply reserve, and rate stabilization reserve. So these are all minimum target balances, and they're about $1.6 to $2 million annual reserve fund targets. Okay, so the next slide, I realize is a little busy, and it's going to be tricky a little bit in black and white, so bear with me here. Here is where we are showing your cash balances at 4 separate rate increase alternatives. So the solid line there, which on mine is red, but that is your reserve target balance. So that is where the district is wanting to get their reserve. They want to hit that line. And then we have clusters of 4 rate increases. The very far right bar, that is a 5% increase, and that is where you can see where the cash should be with 5% annual increases. The next bar over is 7% annual increases, and you can see where the cash is estimated to fall with those. Hi there. The third bar represents a financial plan alternative that funds your most important projects. So that includes the McClure intake panel, pump, the generator, Badger meters, and the deep water intake. So those are, according to Patrick, the most dire needed projects.
Excuse me, Mr. Director. We're on page 30, Dan, just so you can jump in with this.
Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead, Jordan.
And then finally, the bars on the right of each cluster, those represent the 10% increases, which are estimated to fund your entire capital improvement. So we have minimum rate increases of about 5% all the way up to what would fund your entire program. All right, and again, my apologies, another kind of busy slide here on the next one. So this is going back to your expenses and showing where the revenue would be with each of the different increases. So the solid black line is your current revenues. The dotted line above that is 5% increases. Then the dotted line above that, which for me is a different color, so apologies there, is 7% increases. And then the 2 dashed lines above that are the 8 and 10% annual increases.
Can I just ask,
Absolutely.
what would you say it should be if you were looking at this yourself?
Ultimately, it's up to the board as to what you guys decide is the highest priority funding. Us as consultants always err on the side of caution, and so we recommend anything to keep you guys in the green all the time. But this is ultimately up to you guys on what you guys want to fund, what projects you think are highest priority, and how you guys want to have your district look the next few years. All right, so moving on to the cost of service analysis. This is where we take all the information and we allocate it so that we know what expenses, how much of each expense is a fixed charge versus a variable charge. So this is where we really dig into everything. We allocate your expenses into 4 separate categories: capacity, customer, fire protection, and commodity costs. This is very industry standard. What you're looking at now is that the district's fixed costs are about 72% of your annual budget, and your variable are about 28%. So that's where we're looking at, which is pretty typical for a district this size. From there, we allocate everything a little bit further by customer class, because we want to make sure each customer class is being allocated the correct amount, that no customer class is subsidizing another customer class. And your 3 customer classes in this district include residential, commercial, and fire protection. All right, now going into the final step of the rate study process is the rate design. We are bringing forward 2 rate design alternatives. These rate design alternatives will still be here no matter what financial plan alternative you choose. So I know that's a little bit confusing. We're bringing a lot to you, but so we're suggesting a 70% fixed, 30% variable rate structure. which is very similar to what you've got now and is closely resembles the cost of service. And then we are also bringing forward a rate alternative with 60% fixed, 40% variable. So where people like to look at this is your customers have more leeway over their rates when the variable charges are bigger, right? So if you have 40% variable rate design, your customers have a little bit of control over their bill. If they reduce using water, their bill reduces. When you have a higher fixed charge, it's a little bit opposite. There is some, I guess you could say some discussion over what is the best way to do it. Obviously since most of the costs are fixed, it's better to have a higher fixed so that you know exactly what you're bringing in. When you have higher variable, you can get some, what's the word I'm looking for? You can get some volatility in your revenue. So, there's a little bit of a balance here. You want to know what you're bringing in, but then you also want to help out your customers when needed.
Sorry to interject.
No, not at all.
So throughout the year, when demand goes down, revenue goes down quite a bit. When that's a variable, that number's higher because it's accounting for usage more than just the service fee.
But we just left a drought where we were way down in consumption, which would have killed our income when we needed it the most to do our emergency stuff. So that
Exactly.
would not have worked well for us.
Yeah.
Why aren't you screaming at him? You screamed at me.
Okay, keep going, Jordan.
All right, and then on the next slide, this is what your rates will look like at the highest annual increases that we have brought forward to you. So this is,
What one are you on right now?
We're on page 37.
39.
Okay.
yeah, so this is the proposed rates for the 70% fixed, 30% variable rate design at the highest annual rate increases. So you can see this table here, you have your current rates, and then what the rates would be over the next 5 years. Now, another question that we are always asked is, if you do the math in the first year, why aren't the rates exactly what the increase is? For example, $53 to $58.54 is not a 10% increase, is it? This is based on the cost of service. This is based on, there's an adjustment in that first year to make sure all of your customers are, going to be paying their fair share. So that adjustment in the first year is why the numbers might look a little different from the rate increases. But then after that first year, you'll see it's a straight line increase. Go ahead.
By this, it would tell me that we're way off on our fire rates.
There was some differences that we
I
noticed.
mean,
in the
our
cost of
existing
service.
fire rate, by this, you would be telling me that we're way too low on that.
That's what the data showed, yes. And then the next slide is the same table, but with the 60% fixed, 40% variable rate design. So here you can see, at least in the residential class in the first year, the 5/8 inch meter actually goes down a hair. However, you look at the commodity charges in the first year, they double. So there, that's where you guys will want to get your head together and decide what works best for your
Now,
community
where
here.
are you right now? You're on
Page
page
38.
38.
And again, this is all at the highest increases, the 10% increases. Then the next few slides just show
What's a different page you're going to now?
39.
39. So this shows what residential water bills could look like for your customers at different water consumption levels. So the x-axis down at the bottom shows what water consumption ranges could be. The first bar to the right of each of the clusters, to the left of each of the clusters, those are your current rates. The middle bar is the 70 fixed, 30 variable rate design. And then the final, the bar to the left of each cluster is the 60 fixed, 40 variable. So that's what your rates are going to look like at the highest increases here.
When you studied our customer profile, what did you see as far as water consumption on the average, or do we have any kind of average within this district? Meaning you have 2 units, 4 units, 8 units, where does the units of water fall
average.
on the average?
We did look at that, absolutely. Kim, do you have that information handy by chance?
If I'm not, I can be incorrect, but I believe I read 8.
I think it's the 8,
8.
Yeah.
but I just want to double check before
Well,
I
that's
say
okay,
something.
because I think that's a key factor
Absolutely.
when we look at this to see how is this going to impact the bulk of our customers, because that's who we really want to think about. And okay, those anomalies that are very high or below, then, but we have to really look at what's the impact to the average consumer in this district. Okay. thank you.
Absolutely, yeah, so that would be the 800 cubic feet, so that's the middle cluster there. And off the top of my head, I believe 4 is the average winter consumption, and 12 is the average summer consumption. So that's where those numbers came from for you guys
Thank
to
you
see.
very much.
Of course. And then the next slide is the same graph, except for your commercial water customers.
Okay.
So, do you have the average for commercial? I think it's 24, or maybe 20.
Okay. We have such a small number of
It's a
commercial,
small number.
and that's where the bulk of our revenue and everything is from our residential.
24 is the average for commercial.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Okay.
All right, so on the next few slides, now we're going to show you what the rate increases look like at each of the proposed rate increases, the 5, the 7, the 8, and the 10, because we've only shown you the 10. So this one shows what your single-family residential bills would be at both of the rate alternatives, at all the rate increases in tabular form. The next couple pages show those rate alternatives in graph form to make it a little bit easier to see.
And so Jordan, this is the bills, actually, like the proposed bills for single-family residential customers who are using 8 units of water.
Yes,
And this was 8 units of water.
Yeah.
correct.
It's your
And a
average.
5/8 inch meter.
Right.
So that's the
Which
most
is
common.
97% of our district is the 5/8 meter.
Right, okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So we have rate alternative A and then rate alternative B for single family.
Okay. Can we keep going? Is everybody okay?
I realize that's a lot to digest. I'd like to pause there. All right, and then we do the same for the commercial bill comparisons.
Okay.
So we just show, what the average commercial user with a 5/8 inch meter and 24 HCF of consumption would be at each rate alternative, each rate increase.
So you're on page 42? Or, whatever, is that right? You're on 42?
We were on 44, I think.
Oh,
sheet
jeez.
To the commercial bill comparison.
Well, I think what happened in this situation is we were looking at this chart, and then there's, I'll say, duplicate charts like this.
Yeah,
There's seven.
I take this one square on the head, everybody in this room. Patrick failed on getting the TV hooked up today, which has caused this, so I apologize.
I'm just trying to
Patrick, if
find
any
it.
of them
I'm
have their
just trying to
tablets,
figure it out.
they-
Yeah, actually, if you guys have your tablets, it's all on your tablets if you want to take a look.
You have to figure out how to turn it on.
Okay, let's keep going. So we're on the commercial bill comparison, which is page 44 in our packet, just so you
Yeah.
know, and it's your slide 25.
Yep. Yeah, and so those last few slides are just to help you guys digest about where the rates would be for your average customers.
So that's 44 on.
That's commercial. 44, 45, 46.
How many commercial customers do we have?
A couple.
About 14.
14?
Yeah, I know you were, it's in the very beginning, there's only,
Oh, okay.
there's 93% of our customers are residential, that's, okay. All right. So now it is question time. So, if you want to take back to your packet, because we got this Friday, so we're a little bit behind on it as well, so. If you want to go back to it, starts on page 20, the presentation. Just if you have questions, I want you to have the opportunity to review the material.
We're not done.
Which is, the next item is questions.
Yeah, the development presentations does have questions.
Okay, well,
I did include some supplementary material that just, it shows like your detailed capital improvement program, because I shortened it to get it to fit on a slide. Shows inflation factors that we assumed in the financial plan. And also, since we scale rates based on the hydraulic capacity of meters and their meter size, we also show what the industry standard hydraulic capacity factors are. What else do we show? We also show just your water consumption and number of customers. So yeah, 98.5 customers are the residential 5/8.
On the 5/8, yeah. And that, they average that, the minimal usage, you know, in comparison to you go down the hill somewhere.
this is more of a business question. Do we have any residential with fire protection?
Yes,
Yes.
It's a great question.
New construction probably?
yes.
And how is that metered separately? It's just gotta be bigger than a 5-inch meter.
No, it doesn't.
Some of them have 1-inch meters.
Some of them.
Some of them have 1-inch. It depends on probably the design.
Yeah, flow rate.
Right, in my design, how far are you from the
Yes.
source of the meter? If your house sits back, way back on the line, you probably have to have the 1-inch because of the
Flow rate.
the friction loss and everything else in the pipe, so.
Yep.
So, Emery, any questions, comments? Let's go around so we can,
When you figure in this cost, you figure in elasticity, and do you know what that means?
Do we figure in price elasticity?
Elasticity.
I don't believe we do. We did bring that into this model, did we?
Well, elasticity means that a person has a high water bill and you raise it, then they use less, right?
Right.
That's elasticity. You don't figure that in. You just,
We don't, no.
when you figure rates for bus customers, you figure how many people you're going to lose when you raise rates and they're going to go to their cars. So we should probably figure out how many people are going to use less water. That's why we want to go for a monthly rate rather than a per unit rate.
Yeah, that's the fixed rate, I think would factor out the importance of the
You can't figure
elasticity.
because people can use less, like me, I'm going to use less if it costs more for those cows.
Yeah.
Fixed rate, I like 8. That's
Russ?
We got different, the real choices for us is a percentage rate and how that's divided up. And then we come up with it with what our desired thing is, and at that point we go to the public and you help us sell that, as I remember. Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah, so the next steps from here would be, the board would choose first the financial plan rate increase alternative that you like the best.
A or B?
No, I'm sorry, the 5, 7,
Oh, okay,
8, or
okay,
10.
Okay.
And then you decide which rate structure you would want, the A or the B, because that decides the fixed versus variable ratio there. From there, you have to issue a Prop 218 notice. So that is where you send out notices to all of your customers. There needs to be a 45-day wait period in which people are allowed to protest. It's a written protest. If 50% plus 1 protest, the rates are shut down. If they're not, the board can decide to adopt them. Now, with Prop 218, you can also choose to adopt things, and then later through the Prop 218 period, as you're watching it, you can decide, oh, we don't need the full rate increase. So these are the maximum amount of increases that, if it passes Prop 218, that you guys can pass annually. But you can always certainly decide to come lower if you would like.
You said at the beginning, you have to choose the 5, 7, 8. What was that? I missed that.
That's a percentage of increase. They gave you 4 options. The first option they gave you was, I'll say the max, they gave you a 10% option, which would be
I
the
mean,
high.
within A,
Well, no, they gave you options for both 5, 7, 8,
Oh.
and 10% increases for both options A and B.
I missed
And
that.
so that's the different charts and graphs.
It's
that they were
44,
showing
it's
you.
page 44.
no,
And
I understand,
so
I
that's what
didn't
he
miss
said.
that detail, I didn't realize
Yeah.
that A was A and that was it.
No,
You
it's-
choose within it,
Yeah, you can
I
choose,
missed that.
yeah, option A, which is the fixed rate, 70-30. We could say we need a 5%, 7%, or 8%, or 10%
What,
increase.
per,
Increase.
And that's annual.
you pick that and that affects across the board.
Exactly,
Oh,
exactly.
so if you say, would you say 5? Yeah.
5,
It
7,
would be
8.
5 across the
Yes,
spectrum.
That's
I didn't
annual.
catch, I didn't miss that.
yes.
So that if we start the first year at 105%, then the next year is a
So we,
5% added to the 105, and so we end up at a much, yeah, because the math wouldn't work together.
so within here, there's like a 5, a 7, just like you said in here. So which page is 5?
I like page 42, just to show, 42's showing what their bills would be, correct?
And what percent is that?
Okay,
Has all of them.
This shows
Oh, I
all
see
the-
across the top is 5, 7, 8, and 10.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
and on page 42 is option A, which increases the fixed rates higher than the commodity cost. Because our commodity costs can vary, and our commodities that we sell can vary.
Yeah, so rate alternative B will put a higher weight on the variable cost. So that will give you a little bit more volatility should people decide to conserve water.
Yeah, and added with that volatility is that we purchase water from somebody, so, that could change. So if we went with an option B, and then our purchase agreement with MID changes, and then we have to pay for more water, so, just letting you know, the way I look at it, the service charge is a better option.
If you, the drought has had such a dramatic effect on our operation, I think that
If you look at page 31, it would indicate to me that we would have to go with the 7%.
Say 31, Dan?
Page 31, yes.
so we're not at that point today. We're
No.
not talking,
Yeah,
we're not at this. We're not selecting a percentage today.
Right, but I'm just saying that that's what it looks like. Would you agree, Patrick?
Page 31,
Yes. Page 31.
No, I don't.
Well, it says revenue under 5, under 8.
Yeah, I don't,
Dan, what this chart, you, I think, missed page 31, Jordan. If you want to go over it again, it might be worthwhile for Dan to hear your presentation.
Absolutely. Can you guys remind me what page
Page
that?
31.
Page 12 on your slide.
Page 12 on mine. Great, thank you.
that's just showing the amount of revenue which we would generate with the different percentages.
Right, yes. Well, in that case, it looks like it would need to be 7%.
Well,
Hold on, why don't you let Jordan do the
yeah,
talking?
I'm sorry.
Okay, so I actually want you to back up one slide to this slide here, because there's a couple things that we need to really look at with rates.
Page
Rate-
what, 30?
Page 30, and then far corner, slide 11.
Because we need to make sure rates cover all of your O&M, all of your debt, all of your capital expenses,
Yes.
as well as your reserve funds. So this slide here shows where your reserve fund levels will be. So this slide, then the next slide shows where the rate revenue increases will be, excuse me. So those two charts really work hand in hand. Because, like, for example, let's look at the 10% adjusted rates on, it's my page 12. So that is the highest dashed line in that chart.
Yes.
If we go back one page, that same rate increase is the far right bar of each cluster. So you can see you're hitting your cash balances in that alternative in all years. you're actually hitting your targets in the last 3 years and all of the rate alternatives, but you have more wiggle room with the higher rate increases, because outside the 5-year plan is where the majority of your capital plan is. And so we pushed a lot of that out past the 5-year rate plan to help, but it's there. So there's $25 million in projects that are still lingering and need to be done. So, with that extra, so should the board decide on the 10% increases, we'll just use this as an example, you'll see there's some more cash in those last 2 years of the rate period. That gives the district options to pull in some more projects into those years and say, okay, we actually have some extra cash, let's get some projects done. So that gives you some option there. Or you can continue to save that money for projects past the 5-year rate period. Go ahead.
When we got into the drought, luckily we had some cash, and that was the only way we got through this thing and got some wells and survived it. Because basically we had $1 million and we had it all out of pocket because for grants. You have to pay up front. And my question would be, in all your planning here, we always have a handful, we've got at least $1 million in cash on hand at all phases through this thing, right?
Correct. Yes, we are estimating anywhere between $1.6 and $2 million a year is what the district needs to have in the bank.
Because if we have an opportunity for a grant that really takes a big bite out of our future capital requirements, then being able to respond immediately is critical.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Any more questions?
In your business, I'm sure you're doing this for other agencies. What are other agencies doing? What, 5, 7, 8, 10, what do you see?
Oh gosh.
I mean, I know it's a loaded
yeah,
question. Where do you throw the dart?
Absolutely. It's really dependent on the size of the district, where the district is currently financially. We have seen people that are pretty financially stable stay at CPI 3% increases each year. We've also seen some gnarly ones where people have to do 45, 50% increases just to get by. So to answer your question, that's a hard question to answer. In this area, gosh, I haven't even really looked around this area, but down by us, what are we seeing between?
It varies by agency depending on each agency's needs. We have, a couple clients that we're working with that have CPI level adjustments, like Jordan explained, but we've also worked with them prior to this and raised their rates more substantially in the past because they had large capital improvement programs they needed to fund. So they got to the point where they had the funding and now they can do CPI level adjustments. And then some of our clients that haven't raised rates in a long time, usually when that happens, they need higher rate increases when they do get to the point
Like what
where-
we're expecting today,
Right.
because we haven't actually done anything. I think as how we're going to say it, rates went up substantially, and now we haven't done anything. So we beat the tar out of people for 5 years, and then we don't do anything. How do we level this off in the future? So as an example, say we vote something in, we are able to get something in. How do we put into the works CPI adjustments on an annual basis where we're not having to, I'll say, put people into trauma or, get
Sticker shock.
Yeah, sticker shock, or, get the paddles out here to get people back breathing and get up here.
Absolutely. My recommendation for that is just be really diligent about checking this annually, and making adjustments annually. We see people run into problems when they've ignored it for 5 years and go, oh, it's Prop 218 time.
Right.
Where the clients that really, it's a cyclical thing, right? Just like budgeting. So if you can really stay on top of it annually,
So if you gave an increase annually, a minor rate annually, you would stay on top of that.
typically.
And you wouldn't have to do the Proposition 218.
You do have to do Prop 218 for any rate increases.
For any rate.
Mhm.
See, that, if you look at
Sorry,
that,
Dan.
Wes brought up the disadvantaged community, and I know that can go two ways as to whether it helps you or hurts you. And in our budgeting thing, how is that, how are you accounting for that? Where does that fit in our world?
Is the district currently having any subsidies?
No.
So
And right now, there's the disadvantaged community, you know if you're a disadvantaged community by looking at a map. And we have maps saying that we're not, and we have maps saying we are.
We need a determination.
Yeah, and the state try figuring that out with the state too. So like right now, we're looking for some, the technical assistance grant that we applied for, which we received. The maps show that we were not a disadvantaged community, and then the gal that's helping us, Melinda, found one that showed we are, and then now we're receiving that technical assistance funding. So the disadvantaged community mapping, it was updated every 3 years, and it's I don't know how it's done.
Am I correct in assuming that Mariposa County would be and Tuolumne isn't? Is probably the issue.
Something of that nature. And I know when Pete applied for these grants in 2014, 2015, we were labeled as a disadvantaged community, and we received those. And then as of me trying to apply through the USDA, they said we were not. And I'm saying, why? What's changed? So we got our median income, all that together, and that's something that I still haven't figured out exactly what's going on there.
But does that have the yes or no of disadvantaged community? Does that have a function in as far as the rate increase, the prop, whatever it is?
No, we did not take it into
Okay.
effect
It's
that.
not taken into consideration.
Patrick, I think what happens is you get an influx of rich people coming, and then they look at that price, that little whatever they look at, and they say, oh yeah, median income is, X instead of used to be Y.
Well, you know what it was, is it showed that our income was underneath that median income, but it did not have us on the map. So it showed that our median income here was 46,000 and some change, but it was not in the footing of the map, like the brown area shows and so they were literally saying, no, if your area is not on this map, then you're not a disadvantaged community. But we had the paperwork showing that our median income was underneath.
There's a surprising amount of rich people in Sonoma.
Well, yeah, so anyhow, she answered your question that
It doesn't have a factor, doesn't
So it doesn't
it?
matter in this case. Wasting our time.
So, next steps.
Next steps would be for you guys to decide or not decide on a net revenue increase of the 5, 7, 8, or 10. And then decide what rate design alternative that works best for you guys.
7.5.
So you're,
Right in the middle.
after that decision, give me a Reader's Digest version of your role in implementing this and helping us. What should we expect?
Kim, can you help me with this one?
Sure, so the district would send the 218 notice out. That's not part of our scope, I don't think. It's something that could.
we were looking to look into that is
Okay.
because the standby fees, remember, was
That's right.
yeah, so we had some money left over. for
Okay,
that.
right, so we may or may not present that, just depending on what we decide with Patrick. And then the notices are mailed to your customers. Okay, and then you have to allow the 45 days for that notification period to end. We'll hold the public hearing, we'll be present for that. And then I think we could do a couple of community meetings if you wanted to. I think there's room in the budget for that. Sometimes our clients like to do those meetings during the Prop 218 period to allow customers to come ask questions and get information on the rate plan. So we could do some of that. Or the district could handle it on their own as well, just depending on staffing levels. And then once you would hold the public hearing, decide to adopt the rates as long as there's no majority protest, and then you would be off. You'd be able to implement rate plan.
So as I think about this equation, I think about the fact that what rates went up, and I'm just going to round numbers, don't hold me to them because I don't know them off. Let's just say 10 years ago we started the Prop 18 and they went up for 5 years. Then we went on sabbatical for 5 years. Do you factor in, or is there a way to factor in the fact that we haven't raised rates? What rates would have looked like if we continued to do an annual CPI increase? over this 5-year period and the cost associated with doing that. Because that's where, I think that's part of the education. If people will be open-minded to it and say, okay, you haven't raised my rates in 5 years, but everything else has gone up in 5 years, and my water bill stayed kind of, I'll say, stable. And if we would have done this, what would those rates have been projected? I don't know, maybe that's too complex, but I'm trying to say, in reality, if we say 5%, 7%, in reality, if we would have done this, today's rate would have been 1 or 2%. You've had that money in your pocket for the last 5 years. I don't know if that makes sense to people or not, but
Right, you could explain it that way to customers, like if you said, okay, costs have increased by 4% per year on average overall, and the district has essentially used their reserves to fund cost increases over the last 5-year period. I mean, we could show an example that would say, okay, if the district was raising their rates at X percentage every year for the past 5 years, your rates would be here. What we're proposing in this plan is this number, whether it's higher or lower, I'm not sure. And then what we're doing here right now is setting up the rate plan for the next 5 years. Because per Prop 218, the max that you can approve a rate plan for is 5 years. So that's where we're doing the 5-year period. And then beyond that, you should be looking at your rates every year, like Jordan mentioned. Typically, our clients will do a formal rate study every 3 to 5 years to make sure you're on track with what we planned for right now in this process, right? So,
As part of your package, do we get like a digital presentation we put on our website that the public can access or
Sure.
download or something?
Yes,
That's part
we'll
of
have
the
a
program.
report.
That's part of the
Yeah.
program, okay.
Yeah.
we prepare, I think I did leave that out in my explanation. We do prepare a report that documents the rate study, the analysis, the proposed rates for the 5-year period, and it'll show some of the bill comparisons Jordan covered in the presentation.
Yeah, and the report also just goes into detail a bit more about the process, so that people reading it can understand it.
Question. The way, I guess this virus thing is the most you can have is 10 people at a meeting, right? And I assume they're
That's
going to have
indoor.
those meetings. Huh?
Indoor though, right?
Yeah, and that we have it at the gym, and we have like hundreds. Everybody hates it. But anyway, aside from that, you have to have the meetings for the people, right? For the 218. So how do you propose, I know they say that probably by April, maybe May, June, you might be able to have those meetings again with more than 10 people. So this is much to do about nothing if you're waiting till I mean, it'll happen eventually, but it's not imminent, and this board doesn't even have to decide, because you're talking about something next year and way far away, I mean,
Well, can I ask?
Could be-
well, so you're saying because facilitating a meeting?
yeah.
I'll facilitate it out in that parking lot with a PA, honestly, and some lights.
That'd be the way you have to do it.
And we'll set up chairs, and there'll be social distance, and it'd be a bit cold, but
we can, I think we're kind of getting on the extreme here because the gym is large. You could hold multiple sessions in one day and say, please pick a time. We're limiting this to social distancing for everybody's protection rather than putting somebody in a chair in a parking lot. I think that's getting a little bit bizarre.
No, it isn't, you're around 10, that's it.
But we can
And
also,
if it changes colors like it's gonna, it's probably be worse. You can't get a haircut pretty quick.
well, and if we have to do that, then we'll have multiple meetings, limited to 10 people, and you're gonna have to pick a time and come. I mean, if we're going to go through this,
Well, I mean, that's reality.
It is reality, but we have to come up with a solution rather than say we can't stop because of what's going on. We have to continue forward at the same
I
time.
mean, as long as we talk about those kinds of things, I mean,
Yeah, well,
they're trying to get some kind of a subsidy to people that haven't worked, and they hoped maybe the next gang will do it, but people don't have any money. So if you want this thing to happen, you want it to happen maybe once they get back some money, and they're working, because people aren't working, They don't have money.
if you look at the demographics up here,
A lot of retired.
A lot of retired, so their money is stable. You have a third of the homes up here are are vacation homes, I'm assuming. So those people that have a residential home, they're gonna be low consumption. If they have a vacation home, they're living someplace else, they probably have a little bit of money. So you also have to say is, okay, what's your property worth if you have no water?
Yeah.
So that's the other thing is, do we, I mean, this place we know has been driven into the ground. We haven't done a lot of repairs. We're doing more today than we have in the past. And we've got to keep that thing up. Just what keeps in my mind is that distribution line from intake to here.
Yeah.
I read in the report, it is continuing to have leaks, okay? We're wasting money on a monthly basis. So all these things, we have to make, and I go back to what I'll never forget in my lifetime is no matter what decision you make, we're gonna be 50% right and 50% wrong. So do you sit here and do nothing, or do you sit here and try to move forward? And so far, moving forward, we've done okay. We have people that don't like us, but they still can turn on their water and flush their toilets and take a shower. So, life goes on.
And to answer one quick question, when we were talking about meetings moving forward, we've kind of, we've spoken about having, meetings prior to this. Either we've been saving those for public. This is the first meeting, and I believe we had 2 or 3.
Yeah, we have 3.
3. So there's still these ladies are here to come and answer questions and to do that. I told them they could get the tomatoes thrown at them. Not so much me. But no, they're here to answer these questions. If you guys need to meet with them again, that's what this
Well,
is.
I think we have to be relevant too to say, okay, Zoom is not a hard thing to do for us to ask a question. And if we have questions, we need to go to you and say, here's our questions. And that's why I said, if everybody needs a moment right now to ask your questions, think about, go through your materials and ask your questions while we have this opportunity to not direct the questions back to you. And then you can go with Kim or Jordan and get an answer. So,
Response to.
let me go to Dan and then I'll get right to you.
Yeah.
So as far as the meeting is concerned, I think the gymnasium is gonna be fine. We've got lots of people out there that don't wanna come to a meeting because of this. I don't think we even have to worry about that. They're not gonna come, a lot of them are not gonna come in the first place. And the other thing I wanted to ask too is, have we figured out how much we're gonna spend in the next 5 years? Do we have an idea of what that is so that we can put that number in as far as a percentage increase each year?
Yeah, so we built this off of your current budget, and then we are inflating that budget yearly.
And they included specific capital improvement projects. I know you gave me.
Yeah, I see it here.
Yeah. And then there's capital improvement, I'll say there's immediate needs, and then there's wants and desires.
Right.
It's exactly that's the 10% hits everything.
10% is like we're having Christmas every month.
Well, I feel like we're hitting a high point right now, but I don't expect this to go on for the next 5 years. I mean, we're not gonna have to replace 2 pumps in the next 5 years.
Dan, unfortunately, those are cheap fixes. The treatment plant and the transmission line, that's.
Are those in here?
Yeah, those are the
Okay.
$25 million that we're talking about. But those are, and one of these tanks go. We're looking at a lot of money.
$1.5 million.
Yeah. So yeah.
So, okay.
Danny, response to you. If you have this meeting and her response from what after I say to you, if you have the meeting, it's at the height of the pandemic. There's no stimulus package. The state's on the maximum shutdown mode like it was, and nobody can come to the meeting. Now, how does that work? If nobody comes to the meeting, we're going to still do meetings. We're going to have to do this again if nobody comes in and they just vote no. Did you guys do it again, or is that it? Because if you want people to come to the meeting so they can find out the information, that's what you've got to sell it. And personally, I think that those 2 guys have to sell it, not those 2 ladies. But aside from that, This is it, right? Once they say no, that's it. They have to start all over again, right?
As far as if there's a 50+1
Yeah.
protest, is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's shut down. If there's a 50% plus
No, I mean
one.
in terms of your costs. We're starting all over again. It's a whole new thing.
Not, we could work with Patrick on developing something.
Okay.
If there was a majority protest, let's say you went for the 10% increase and there was a majority protest and you said, okay, we want to go back and see if we could get 5%. We can work with you guys to see, where we're at of the budget at that point. We wouldn't have to start all over again because your budget's your budget, unless your budget's
And
changing
you've done all
dramatically.
this preliminary stuff.
Right, and as far as meetings go, a lot of our clients, most public agencies in California are doing virtual meetings right now. So they can hold the public hearing if there's people that want to participate but don't want to show up in person. They can participate by Zoom, and it's working very well. So we could see. I know there's a company that helps facilitate public hearings that we could get their contact information for you. And to help with that process.
My concern is if, you can hold that type of a meeting, but a lot of these people I don't think a lot of these people are going to pay attention. And then when you send out the notice that we're raising 10%, that's what we want to do, we want to raise it 10%, you're going to get across the board no. That's what I'm
Well,
afraid.
maybe you put you maybe set out the notice that we need to raise rate, come to the meeting. I mean,
Right.
you might have to do the shock first and get them pissed off, because they're gonna be pissed off no matter what you do, so, I mean, let's put the cards on the table.
I concur with you guys, it's gonna be after the fact. The complaint's gonna happen because I think your participation's gonna be zero almost.
If you
That's
try
gonna
to
be
do the
very, very
education
low.
first.
Until we actually do the rate increase, and then when they find out it happened, it's
When are
gonna
we
be-
thinking about having the meeting? When?
If you guys, I have my timeline. If we were to leave here and you guys voted on something here, we'd move forward, we'd get that 45 days going soon. And then that would be putting it through the winter months, and then that would put it through, the beginning of the year, January, February, potentially having rates increase where consumption is down and it's,
And I'm thinking that by April, there's going to be a vaccine out there. So that would change everything. So,
No, it's not.
I'm sorry?
It's not. You get minus 70 degrees in your arm, it burns like hell. If you're sick for 3 days, they said you get a fever, and then you get to come back for the second shot, which people probably won't do because they said it's so painful.
I'm not, personally, I don't know how much the COVID or any of this is going to affect any of what we're doing here. Like the public comments, and I agree with you guys. I don't think we're going to have much of anything until they, people get upset and they start paying attention. I had a question on the 218 when that's sent out. What does that entail as far as they have to? Is it simply check a box no and send it in?
No. So there are some, and Kim, step in here if I miss any of them. There are some legal things that have to be on the Prop 218. Have to show the time, date, and place of when the public hearing will be. And the public hearing has to be on a regularly scheduled board meeting date, right?
I believe so. So you need to check with your legal counsel on that. And then if someone wants to submit a protest, they need to write in. They essentially need to write a short letter that says, this is, my name, my address, and I protest the rates. So there's no form that needs to be included with the 218 notice.
No electronic.
No, you can't. No.
No electronic
How do
protest.
people vote? I missed that
It's not a vote, it's a protest proceeding. So if a resident wants to protest the rate adjustment, then they would need to send in a written protest.
So for my little pea brain, we have 100 customers, 51 protests come in out of the 100, then we are.
Right.
Okay, so in this situation, round numbers, we have, I'm gonna round numbers, 1,400 customers, so 701 have to protest.
Have to write a letter, a short
Write a letter of
Right.
protest. And at what window do they have that time to protest?
45 days
Okay.
between when the notice is mailed out
Mhm.
and the public hearing. So they have a 45-day window.
The public hearings is after 45 days after.
Correct,
And do they get up and do it again, or just write the letter?
Uh,
I think they
To
get up and
protest
complain
again?
again, as I recall.
They can get up and complain in person, or
Yeah.
speak in person to the
Yeah,
board.
that's what I heard from
But
last.
you don't count it unless they submit a written
Unless
protest.
it's written.
Okay, okay. All right.
So in theory, people can write their letters but not show up to
Here,
the meeting
and
at all.
one more question, again, this is, how often do you work with, like a quick percentage with districts, municipalities where the 218 is voted down?
And we have not
I have
had,
not seen it.
Well-
in the past 10, 11 years of me doing this, I have not had a majority protest ever. And we do about 15 to 20 per year.
So, listening to the dialogue of this board, what is your recommendations of how we should proceed? And I'm really looking at the education and community outreach thing. Do we file this thing? And how do we educate them in this process? I mean, with all the nuances of today, what is your thoughts?
That's a great question, and the $1,000,000 question, to be honest with you. Outreach is always a problem. It's a puzzle, it's dependent on the agency, and the customers. Some customers are really involved, others pay their bills and don't care. So, gosh, we have seen people do community meeting, just community meetings in a local park. We've seen people do online seminars. We've seen people get a little creative, but you guys know your customers better than we do. So I don't know if like a blast email or blast text or blast Facebook message, would reach your customers, or a newspaper ad, or, something like that.
We have this next door Don Pedro, and that's like the gossip column, I'd say, and that's probably one place to let people know you're thinking about it. And there's another one, whatever that other one is. That's,
A lot of this is just gonna fall on my shoulders when they're calling. They're gonna be calling the office, Cindy and whoever's on the front desk, they're not gonna have time to deal with that, be transferred to me. Because I imagine a lot of it's gonna come through on phone calls. A lot of it's just gonna be come through on phone calls, and it's gonna be individually those 50 people that may do it, that really have something to say. I'm gonna have to do my best with the information provided by NBS. I know the district, I know what we need to do, selling it to them and justifying why I think this is what we need to do. The board decided to go this way with the information presented, and then it's gonna break down capital improvement projects. I could use these times to talk about all the problems we're going through right now, and just going from there. That's the way I see this working out, is people are gonna be calling and upset,
and definitely not in December as a Christmas present, wait till at least till January, hoping to do
Yeah.
this.
Again, I go back to, if you could put together I think your presentation was excellent, by the way. It's easy to follow, very understandable. You gave us multiple options and a lot to think about and consider. And if we could do the same kind of thing, because I think this is great information, coupled with, we haven't done anything in 5 years. So you do that, because you got to make people think about it. We haven't touched your pocketbook, and yet, to me, you just, very easy, very straightforward communication. We haven't touched your pocketbook in 5 years. However, our costs have gone up, and now we're trying to make sure that this community is still in water. Whenever you raise rates, people go crazy. So we know that's going to happen. We just can't react to it, because we have to do what's best for this entire community. I appreciate the fact that, because I didn't understand how, I'm thinking, okay, we have to vote on this or what? I didn't understand that. So I think you've done a great job, and I think it's the board's decision now what we have to do and give the directions. I think Patrick has a lot of homework to do of how to rally this community to, how do we educate them? What kind of forums can we do? And so on and so forth. Because that's our job now, and with your assistance, I think, I think we'll be okay, I really do. Because I have confidence in the fact that the community is going to recognize it's going to cost more to maintain this district, and where we've come from in the last few years, we've really done a lot for them. Cindy, you raised your hand.
I did, just to refresh my memory, because I was here the last rate increase, and a lot of it, all the questions came when we had the meeting. Some were, people were very upset, and some were even explaining to those people that were upset, even the customers were explaining. So a lot of it got answered there, and then we had references to like websites and different stuff like that. But my question that I have that I don't recall is this just the metered customers, or are our availability lots?
Just the
Can they
metered
vote?
customers, just the
send
metered
in?
customers.
Okay, just because I couldn't recall that. And one of the things that we ran into was when we send out notices, we got some back, like people move, they don't give us their address. What do we do with those? Because we can't.
Yeah, so like they just no return forward address
Yeah.
listed.
Yeah.
Have you
You're
seen
just
that much?
obligated to send it to, I think truthfully, by Prop 218 is you're really only required to send it to your, to the owner of the property, and you send it to the most recent address that's on file with the county. Sending it to your customers also is like above and beyond, but that's general practice for water agency, because you might have some tenant situations, when there's someone renting and they're the one paying the water bill. So it'd be good practice to send it to both if you've got, record customer and property owner.
And we'll cover those bases just to make sure with legal counsel.
Yeah.
just to
So
make
if
sure.
Right.
if you have multiple lots with multiple meters, you get multiple votes, is that what you're telling me, or what?
It's one vote per meter, isn't it? One vote per
Yeah.
parcel?
Yeah, so
One,
you
one
have-
per account,
One
yeah.
per account.
So you
So-
have five lots with 5 meters, you get 5 votes.
Right, but yeah, or opportunities to protest, really.
Yep.
So you're just obligated to send the notice, and if it gets kicked back because the person moved, you can't,
Yeah.
you're not really obligated to go hunting that person down, so.
Okay, that's kind of what I recall, but I was like, I just remembered some of them and wasn't sure. And as far as like when you guys are voting on which one you're going to choose, that would not be today because it's not listed as that on the agenda. It's just presentation only, just to bring that to your attention.
Okay, since this is a presentation only, I just want to clarify, can we discuss our thoughts on what plan?
Yes, because it's under discussion action item. You
But
can
as far as
discuss it.
voting on the plan, as far as making I'll say a resolution to move forward, whatever we decide, that has to be put on the agenda for next month.
Yeah, and one of the reasons for that you want to think about either doing it today or in the future agenda is because when that agenda goes out, it gives the public an opportunity to see if they want to be here for that discussion. So you may want to, it's up to you guys, but you may, as a suggestion, hold back on some of that discussion so that anyone can have an opportunity to be here for that.
Okay.
That's one of the main points for posting agendas in different areas.
Okay, thank you.
In your experience, would you reckon that this place is big enough to do that? Do you think we'll have enough response to where suddenly we do have space problems, having a meeting with,
Are you asking me?
yeah?
No, the last time I think we had it at the Baptist church. Didn't we have one at the Baptist
Then
church?
we have some at the,
And then we had
School.
one at
I
the
don't know
school
which
maybe. Because I think there was a person that was saying mixing church and
church
state.
and state.
Yeah,
Was the gymnasium built 10 years ago?
no, I don't
Okay.
believe so.
That's probably why you had it at the church then, because so that we have, now
Yeah.
that issue we kind of resolved. We
Yeah,
can't
but
get
anytime we've had presentations before at the school, I will say, they weren't about increases, but they, it was full and they were respectful and it turned out really well. I can't,
The last time we did presentations was on the
That's
drought, Cindy.
Yes.
it was the drought, yeah, and everyone was we were thinking that
Yes.
they would not
Yeah.
want to follow along with the conservation,
I
but they were.
suggested another one, and that's the hacienda, because if we had a public thing and there was more people, why couldn't?
We couldn't do that because they're
Outside
out
the
of our
district.
district, Because
Hacienda's
they're-
outside the district.
outside the district.
Well,
So-
the gymnasium, like I said,
Yeah.
we can offer it, now these educational seminars have to be, they can be at any time, whatever our
I
selection
believe
is.
so.
Yeah, so, I mean, theoretically, you could hold a couple sessions in one day. You could have a morning or afternoon or evening
Exactly.
session. to allow people the opportunity to do it on a Saturday or whatever, if you wanted to. I don't know if that's within our realm, or our flexibility to ask of that, ask you guys, can we do it on that, so we do get the community input and do it a morning session, afternoon session, whatever. If we get into, I'll say capacity issues,
I will say that in the past, and this is neither here nor there, in the past when they've talked about moving our regular meetings to a Saturday, if I recall back, I can't remember the year, they had less people show up actually on Saturday because they didn't want to give up their Saturday.
right?
You
They-
want
it-
to give up their Saturday.
Yeah, it worked better in the evening actually.
Right, no, they can't go anywhere because everything's
Yeah.
closed, so they might have something to do.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. That's true.
all right, so I'm gonna go around the board. Any other questions for Kim or Jordan before we say thank you very much? Emery?
No, you're not gonna, are you gonna ask us what our preferences are?
No, we can
Not.
discuss that. We can let them go,
Oh.
because I want to let them go, so if they're headed back, they've got a little bit of a drive. I don't know if they're going all the way home tonight or not, but they needed some traffic. So any other questions for Kim, and then we can finish our discussion? Dan?
We're planning on voting it for this next month, right?
That's up for discussion.
Okay.
All right? All right, ladies, thank you so much. Great job.
Thank you for having us.
Travel safe home.
Thank you, sure appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys don't, you need to stay for the rest of the morning stuff that I have. Yeah, you guys can take off.
Okay,
Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah, I'll be speaking with you guys soon.
Absolutely.
thank you very, very much.
Safe travels.
Thank you.
So, can I mention something prior?
Thank you, Cindy.
I just wanted to, public comment earlier. There was mention about generator numbers. Well, he was transposing rate study generator numbers with Cal OES grant numbers. And then in addition to that, it's been 10 years since the rate increase. It's been 10 years since we started a rate increase. So that was the discussion that I had, Wes was disagreeing with me on
So
that.
what's new, Westfield?
Oh, no, just letting you guys
It's
know that.
clarification.
Yeah,
And I kind of
clarification.
figured that based on the grant and then the
Yeah.
rate study proposal and the 5 and the 10 years, it's all relevant. It's all relevant, so it's, started 10 years ago, we haven't had one for 5, and that's why I say, I don't use the numbers because I don't remember them.
Yeah.
So, just listening to the dialogue of the board, and I know we can discuss this further, but Emery, what's your thought as far as, if I had to say today, what would you feel comfortable supporting as far as the rate proposal? What do you feel comfortable doing?
5%, increases on monthly fixed, and slow down on the rate, the unit prices.
Okay, so that's
A.
5% option A. Russ?
Oh, okay, that's a good way to say it.
Whichever one had the most on the fixed.
That's option A is the fix, that's the fix that
The high
reduces.
fix, okay.
What percentage are you
And
comfortable
I
with?
think
That's
that's,
60-40, right?
No, 70.
70-30.
70-30 is A, that gives
Yeah,
you more
okay.
fixed costs, less.
we get into a drought again and that just, consumption goes away, they're mandating all this reduction and 50 gallons a person and suddenly we're not selling water.
Right.
Uh,
So what percentage do you feel?
5, 7, 8, or 10.
I'm just,
Okay. No?
What percentage would add $5?
We have a 5% increase, 7% increase, 8%, and 10%. Those are the percentages. And then option A, put more money into the fixed cost, which means your monthly service charge goes up, but your water cost is not as much. Option B is a little bit less on your monthly service cost, but your unit cost of water doubles. So
Yeah, that one.
you like option B?
Yes, I
Okay.
think what we charge for a unit of water is just ridiculous.
Right, but it will go up. But when we go to option B, what option B does is if we don't sell water, our revenue will go down.
Okay.
So option A gives you a fixed it's kind of like, I'll say like a fixed income, it's kind of like I'm gonna use the word, an annuity. You get the same amount of money coming in on a monthly basis, whether you sell zero water, keep the district afloat.
Okay,
Yeah. So,
option A.
option A. And what percentage did you like, 5, 7, 8? Which one did you feel comfortable with?
It doesn't.
Okay, well, okay, that time you have to vote. Dan?
I'm going with Russ, 7 and 70.
And
7 and
option
70,
A.
yes.
Okay, all right. Well, that gives us a feeling for where we're at. And then we, like I said, we have to decide what we feel comfortable doing. And that's why I think it's important that if we had those numbers of what inflation did and how we didn't do this, I think it kind of helps educate people on what you can and can't.
So what passed?
Nothing.
Oh,
We have
I heard 2 7s.
2 7s and a 5, and Nelly's kind of open-minded about what she wanted to do.
I'll make one other comment is, I mean, I'd like to see us at 10, 12, 15, 18.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of what might pass.
Right.
Well, 5 maybe.
But see, did you hear them say they do 15 of these a year?
That's Temecula.
Oh, no, they do Berkeley, they did, they did 15 of these a year, and she's been doing it for 10 years, and they've never had one voted down.
I'll bet you $10 it doesn't pass.
Okay.
No, because they have to write to these. I mean, that means we have to get 700 written, 700, what is it, 20?
You have to have, if we had 1,400 customers, 701 have to write, 51%.
And I can't imagine getting 700.
I agree with you, but I just think that in the mode we're in now, I don't think it'll make
Do
it.
you guys mind if I step in here real fast?
You're gonna get 100 people that complain and the rest of them.
Yeah.
With Chrysler stamp.
And you
I
know
don't
what?
have an envelope.
The other thing on this is, it has to do, as a representative of the board, the education. How do you present it? What do you educate? How do you tell the community? And the reasons why. And that goes back to me even when Pete was here, is we need to tell our story of the money we spend.
Talking points.
Talking points, and be
We're all on
able,
the same
you
page.
gotta be on the same page and say, yes, we understand. But you gotta remember too, we're raising our own rates.
And the other thing is, we haven't had rain yet. We're gonna have a drought here. I mean, we could have a drought here next year. I mean,
I'm scared to death there's not a drop in it.
I know.
Nothing.
And I think educating people of how antiquated our system is. A lot of people don't realize,
Yeah.
it's really, really old and it's just worn out.
It was
Exactly.
poorly done in the initial first go-round.
Right.
That's the real bottom line, it's poorly installed.
Okay, all right. So let's go on, let's jump back into the agenda if you don't mind, and we'll put Patrick back on the hot seat and keep going on his report or presentation.
All right.
So pages 3 through 7 is what Patrick has.
No, his new report, right, it's page 55?
No,
His his general manager's report starts on page 3.
I'm
Yes.
gonna hit on a couple of key items, and then if you guys have anything, feel free to come in. We start with what's going on at our intake right now. Currently, right now, our Fresno's, we're waiting on the pump motor to be, it's been assembled and to test that thing. They've been down at intake last week. They tested, for lack of better terms, the extension cords, the long, wound up lines to make sure those are good. Everything looks good. We have the excavator down there, and we pulled out the casing and the other pump, which is non-operable and at this time, we are awaiting Fresno State to test it, the pump motor. They're out until January, so now we have a backup of Flowway out of Fresno. Yeah, and we're working with them to get that tested. They were talking about potentially testing it this week or this weekend. And with that, as soon as we get the test back, they say everything's good, we're going in. We're going in. So we have the equipment here, it's sitting there, and we're slapping that thing back in. We have all the casing up on top, so we'll go ahead and put it back in.
So we have the electrical to support a 250 horse motor?
Yes.
It's already
That's
put in.
that's a big increase.
Yeah.
It's already been put in? The
No.
Electrical?
No, the electrical is there, it's been tested out, their electrical engineer came out and said it's more than sufficient.
So the question is, are you on wells with rain for rent, or are you just on wells?
Okay, so now we're gonna rain for it. Okay, am I on wells for rent? Okay.
I mean,
So I'm just, let me just finish off with, so right now, they're ready to slap that thing back in. We're just waiting, the final piece of that is getting I want to test it. I want to make sure everything works prior to us sticking it back down in there. So with that, our inlet line, as I mentioned to you guys last month, we had divers go down there, took the bottoms off, flushed it out, cleaned it up. So that's good. However, we've had a basket that was knocked off and broken, so we had a hole right on the top of our inlet line. So our guys went down there on Friday, and we had a fabricated, Lake Don Pedro Marina fabricated a band for us to go down there, wrapped it around. They're pouring some slurry on it today in order to keep that line clean. You know, we finally got the line clean, and a lot of the assumptions were the issues was things got down in that line and caused our pump possibly to fail.
Is that a permanent fix, though,
Well,
what they've done?
yeah, you know, there's no other way of fixing it, Dan, other than a new one, which we're going to do when we get $1.5 million to fix it. So at this time, there's no other way of fixing these lines. It's a 22-inch concrete line, and there's no right ways of fixing that. You can't, so we banded it, and then we poured concrete over the top. It's not a pressurized line. It has a vacuum. It'll create a vacuum when that pumps down in there, and it'll suck in debris through a hole, which will cause failure to start the pump. So we're just enclosing that and not allowing it. So the guys, they did a fine job Friday down there working on an embankment like this off of a boat, getting that done. But our guys got that done. So with that, currently we are pumping for rain for rent, and our wells are off.
what?
Our wells are off.
Really?
Yeah, because initially we got rain for rent out here. I ordered a 1,000 gallon per minute pump. He said, no, every one of our pumps 1,000 gallons per minute, no big deal. Came out there, they installed it on the barge. It was pumping at 250 horsepower. Their engineer said it
You
was...
said one thing, it's pumping at 250 horsepower, 250
GPMs.
I'm gonna hold you, I'm gonna keep you on
Yeah,
task.
yeah, gallons per minute, sorry. So right away so they have an engineer, their engineer said, oh, it's the head, head pressure, it's the loss, this and that. I said, well, hold on, there's a big difference between 1,000 gallons per minute and 250. So long story short, we complained until I got a mechanic out here. He came out there, he said, oh, well, this thing's operating, it's hardly, the RPMs are extremely low, but there was no adjustment. So he got on his phone, a little diagram, took it apart and adjusted it up, and now it's pumping. Yeah. So with that, we went ahead and we got a 50% deduction for that first month of service from Rain for Rain.
What is that rental costing us per month?
It's costing us, I think it's $2,000 a month.
That's not bad.
No,
But there was
it's
an
not bad.
initial fee though, when you went.
Yeah, initial fee.
Like $6 grand?
$6 grand for that's set up and off hauling,
Sped up the RPM, you sped up the fuel consumption.
Sped up the fuel consumption.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we've been fine. We've been fine.
What's it cost to run it?
It's cost about 100 to 120 gallons a day.
That's
So
not
how
bad.
much is that in dollars a day?
$3 times 100, what's that, 300?
$300 a day for
Three,
fuel?
360.
More than that. Yeah.
That's not wonderful.
No, but it's pumping water, and we started sucking air out of one of our wells after running for 2 weeks. One of our wells, so that's why the guys that put those on, they're monitoring the wells every single day. Went out there and sucking air. Said, what's our demand? What do we put out there? I said, shut the wells down. So,
What well was sucking air and why? No water?
oh, yeah. Right now, yeah, it's one of the newer Medina ones.
It's not the Ranchito?
No, Ranchitos are pumping fine, but one of the newer Medina ones. And right now, we just got Ranchito 2 new pump and a motor saver on it, and then same Ranchito 1 new pump motor and a saver on it. And I'm kind of, at this time, I'm only taking one emergency at a time for the most part, I'm trying to, so we said, let's just go ahead and shut the pump, or the well down, and we'll continue our pumping off of
And
the.
what you are experiencing, Boise Cascade experienced a zillion years ago when they begged MID for water because they couldn't get reliable enough well water, you know? Like that one suck there. You have to be careful because there isn't a whole lot of water under there. You know?
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, there's nothing you can do, but, you know, this place doesn't have a big aquifer.
We are covering the outside place of use water with a well.
Yes, that's that's 2 to 3 units, or 2 to 3 acre feet a month.
Yeah, but you are pumping enough to meet that.
Oh, yeah.
You said no wells.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we're not, instead of 70 acre feet a month, we're doing 2 to 3 acre feet a month off the wells. So as far as intake right now, we have all the equipment, we have everything, we're waiting for the pump, the fixed pump to be placed back in Barrett Cove, we're waiting for pump testing. Now, to hit on the point you've been hitting on, we've ordered the intake valve, check valve too.
I saw that.
So that should be in the next week or so. So when we're doing that, we can slap that valve in, and then we could eliminate the issue of we're wasting water that's coming back out the lake.
Different issue, but how close are we to getting to where we can get water? You know, the 600 and whatever feet.
We're ways away.
We're at what, 8 something or whatever?
No, we're at 700. The level's at 744, and I believe
Shut down is 6 something, huh?
we're ways away. It's not getting any lower. This is the lowest time of year.
Yeah.
Right now. Right now is the lowest time of year. If it's like this next year, we are in trouble.
Yeah.
We are in trouble. However, and I'll get to what we do with that. So right now, as far as the intake and the fixed pumps and intake, we have everything scheduled. We have the equipment. The electrical line has been tested. The valve is coming in, and we're waiting.
What was that existing motor that you pulled out of it? Wouldn't matter. Was it a 250 as well?
No, 200.
Okay.
That has the same.
And brush amps and trips, so.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Oh,
Excuse me, can I just ask one
Yes, sir.
question on, when is our barge going to be ready? Do we know?
that's what I was going to get to next.
Let's let him keep going.
All right.
So, our barge, I went down to Fresno 2 weeks ago, Fresno Madera, and I picked up a 115 horsepower motor. I delivered it that day.
Wait, let me, when you're jumping, I'm gonna hold your hand. You said a motor, okay? We have electric motors. You need to tell them an outboard motor.
Oh, okay.
Just so that way, the way you picked up 150, I'm just trying to keep, so tell me you picked up an outboard motor for the barge.
But that's an electric motor.
No, it's a gas engine.
Yeah.
The 115 is a gas.
That's why, see what I'm saying?
Like a Mercury or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. So I'm just trying to keep you so you don't have to go back and.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I picked that up 2 weeks ago, and it was a week and a half ago. It was on a Friday. Not last Friday, the Friday before. I picked it up and I delivered it personally to Todd and Twin Lakes. They wanted to work on the prop. They wanted to, the pitch, those things I don't know. But they wanted to work with their guys on the prop to make sure all that's sufficient. But we're about done. When I say about done, you've been hearing that for the past 5 years on the barge. But literally, there's not much more. Don Pedro Pump was up here on this Friday. Yeah, today's Monday. Yeah, it was on there. I was up here. I met with them on this Friday, and they went up there and they did the finishing touches, marrying put the shafts in and doing all the stuff that our guys didn't do. It wasn't part of the contract.
Oh, for the reinstallation of the motors and the pumps?
That was not in our contract. It was that our guys were going to go out and do that. And
yeah.
So that was a small expense, but it was a little over $1,000 to have those guys come out here and take care of all that. Instead of having our guys do that. I just didn't think it should.
Good move.
The barge wiring is done.
What was that?
The motor control wiring and all that stuff.
They're working on that.
And that's,
Twin Lakes is doing that.
Twin Lakes is doing the electrical.
Yeah.
When you say wiring, wiring, are you referencing pump wiring?
I'm talking about pump motor starters and pump protection and.
On the barge.
Yeah, they in the contract they're Twin Lakes and Berry Electric.
Berry, that's what they were.
They've been working on anything to do with electrical.
I was concerned when you said Twin Lakes, but.
And excuse my confusion on some of this, but Martech our last meeting,
Yeah.
was doing some of it, they're no longer working for us anymore. So I've been confused on who had what piece in that barge. But Barry Dugan with Barry Electric and Twin Lakes is handling any of that. So the barge, I've heard a week or two, but I've been hearing that since September. They gave me, because when I asked for my initial, like, okay, when is this thing gonna be done? They said September, and we see that's not here. So, anyhow, working with them, they want to get this done because they have loaned us their loaner barge. And Vic Moreno, who's their operations manager, has been wonderful. He wants their barge back because he has work that they need to go do on their barge. I said, well, Vic, you guys need to finish our, so yeah, I've been out there, he's been out there, he's been with the guys out there, and he's gotten the ball moving quite a bit more, if that helps.
Is your priority to get our barge in the water or get an electric pump down the hole?
It's okay, he just couldn't see you while you were.
Well, there's no, they're not,
I'd hate to see you go to the expense and trouble of putting our barge in the water if we're gonna have an electric pump that's functional, and if we don't put our barge in the water, then I have a little issue with buying the outboard motor. So one way or the other, I got an issue.
yeah, you made that present last time when you said that we shouldn't have a motor. This is about, if we had that motor, it might have been done. We might have been in the water right now. You see what I'm saying?
But we wouldn't have used it. There's no purpose. Okay.
Well, I think I can see both points, but the bottom line here is we're operating on somebody else's dime using, I'll say, rented equipment. Now, if we're able to get our barge in the water, okay, let's go to the rule of hard knocks. Yes, we put a brand new electric motor in, we make sure the pump runs out. We have no guarantee everything's going to go
Well, I
smoothly.
understand
So
that.
therefore, we haven't had a backup plan, and we still have a good backup plan because if one goes south, the other we're screwed no matter
No,
what.
I want the barge done, but I
Yeah.
want a motor.
Yeah, so honestly, to answer your question, Ross, my honest question is the only reason I'm following up on this barge is because it's a project that needs to get done is because you guys have expressed that to me numerous times. To me, I want to get that fixed pump down in intake and just go from there.
Okay, tell me this. We got a motor, we got a barge, and we get the barge done. But we don't put it in the water. Will you tell me that you will take the motor off and put it, lock it up in our building?
It is. It's in theirs right now. They're setting it, making sure everything's good, and they're taking it off and putting it in their enclosed shop.
Not theirs, ours, in our secure area. I mean, I don't want to see it robbed for parts a year from now when we need it. That's my biggest concern. I want it secure. The fuel tank and everything goes with it.
The fuel tank probably be mounted on.
Well, whatever,
I mean, if
the stuff
we're
that
just
is going to disappear.
Okay. Okay, so where are we at?
All right.
What item are you on?
I'm gonna hit on the mains. Okay, I'm gonna go to the Cal OES Power Resiliency Backup Generator Grant. Last year we applied through it. We spent about $7,000 with your guys' approval on the environmental, and then every one was denied. It was called the HGNP last year, if you guys remember that, and it was for $750,000. It was larger, but it was for these backup generators. So this year it came back around, it has a little different name, and they're offering less money, the $300,000, which leads into Wes's question, which I'll touch base on. So we were able to get this in and not have to do the environmental again. So that saved a lot of money. So the only thing we had to pay to get this application is in Blackwater to put it forward with mine and Cindy's assistance. So far, and what the grant manager is saying this year is, whatever this means, everything looks really good at people getting this time around. Last year, all the money went to these natural disaster fires, which there's still some this year, but apparently that's not gonna be the case this year, I guess.
Well, that'd be good if we can get that through and get a backup generator at intake in one here. I mean, that resolves a lot of issues.
That resolves a lot. Now, the larger numbers in our CIP projects, which Kim and Jordan were speaking of, like, and that Wes brought up, is because that was a $750,000 price tag to get backup generators at more than just intake and the treatment plant. It was to get it central and this and that. So this grant opportunity it's not going to provide enough money to do all that, but if we get this $300,000, we should be able to put one in an intake and a treatment plant, and then we can work on our money getting additional. And then these power shutdowns, we could pump water, we could pump water when need be. So I'm very excited about that. We got that submitted October 30th. I haven't heard anything back yet.
Okay.
All right, our $30,000 check was recently processed. We're waiting for it.
And that 30,000 covered the cost of what?
Preliminary engineering report
For the,
for the USD, the deep water intake
that huge grant.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay. We talked about intake emergency already.
I'll say the transmission mains, I'll touch on those real fast. Our transmission mains, I think Cindy, if I had any hair it would have been ripped out, but the last few weeks the transmission main blew up, and it was putting out, I'd say, just looking at it, and I'd say easy 150 gallons a minute. It was,
Transmission main, you're sidetracking. What transmission main are you talking about?
it's the one leading from intake coming this direction, so it's
Okay.
it's in the boatyard area.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just call it
Yeah.
different. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure it's lined up.
That's the one I asked you about.
The raw
Is that
water.
permanent or not? Was that a permanent fix?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So it's an 18-inch water main like this.
The raw water pipe.
Yes. 18-inch water main, and we had a leak. It was in the boatyard, like a drainage basin. So we went out there, the backhoe. I went out there with the guys. We saw we were going to dig it. We dig down, and it's we were 15 feet down, and we still nowhere near the leak. So I called in reinforcements. Sinclair Engineering. We actually fixed a raw water leak on his property up the road a few months ago that we did. And I did not know he's an underground contractor. And he has the equipment. He gave me his phone number. I called him up. I said, can you guys get out there? They dug down. I think it was about 22 feet down. They found the main. And it was on the worst spot. It was they benched it out. They made it completely safe. They repaired it. I have pictures. They shut down the transmission main and they welded. They cut out the piece and they welded everything back together. They're professional crew. And we didn't have the capabilities. We didn't have the excavator to do it. We didn't have any of the stuff. However, we got that done. That's the first time I've used an outside contractor here to fix anything on our distribution system since
What was their name again?
Sinclair Engineering Contractors. And we called them on an emergency basis. They did a fine job. But so we got that taken care of. We have another transmission leak that I just spotted. I spotted last Thursday. So that's in the shallower area. We're going to attempt to take care of that one the same. And when we fix those, Dan, we fix them right too. We don't put Band-Aids on those things. We shut it down and we weld in new pieces and the whole nine. District tank cleaning, that's December. They're going to here to do the work on the tanks and clean the rest of them. Our filters inspections, these expensive filters that you guys got done a few years back, we're following the state's recommendations. It's a little pricey, but to have these filters inspected every other year.
You got a question, Russ?
Are we going to service the tanks if we don't have the electric pump running?
What is it?
Are you going to service these tanks while we're running on the diesel?
Service pump?
I think he's asking, do you have to drain the tanks and clean them to service them?
No, no. They dive in there. Yeah, the mitigation work. No, the cleaning, they dive. They dive the whole time. They're like scuba divers down in there, and they have, if you ever watched Gold Rush, that's what they're doing, essentially.
They take a vacuum in.
Yeah, they vacuum it all out. But they have epoxy mix, which the floor of Avenida, there's some issues, but it's an epoxy mix that's added with the water. So no, we're not draining.
Okay.
Yeah, they're doing it while they're full. So the filter inspections, we're gonna have the filter inspections done this year. Last year we did not do them, but the year prior we did. So we're gonna have that done. That's scheduled for December 7th with ERS filters. The security fencing at the tank sites has begun. The contractor's lagging a little bit, but he went in and he put in the gates and the posts on all of them. He's still yet to hang all the fence. In operations, I want to touch on a question you had on the fueling. Our staff has been fueling that pump. That's taken a lot of their time lately. One of the issues is I went and bought 3 of the tanks or 2 of them from Kellogg's. One from Kellogg's and one from Tractor Supply to transport the diesel fuel. But it's cumbersome and it's a bear. We don't have any diesel here that's decent price, so they go to Waterford or they go to Snelling, and then they fill up. With addition those 2 larger tanks, they have a bunch of their 5-gallon tanks. They fill it up, and they have to transfer that to the boat barge, and then pour it in the boat barge where we have tanks on there, and then they have to take it out to. They put it on a boat, and then they have to take it to the loaner barge, where then they have to fill it up. So that's taking
How do
hours.
they transfer it from I can follow a 5-gallon
Yeah.
tank. How do they transfer the 50-gallon tanks?
They put one of the 50-gallon tanks on the boat, the transfer boat, and then they have one in the back of the quad cab.
Okay, but once you get 50 gallons of fuel out there on I'll say a boat, and you're going out to the barge, how do they get it off of that boat onto the barge to
The
fuel?
16-foot handle that I got.
Oh, so you got like a temporary pump? Okay, I was thinking of
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
okay, follow. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I had to because when that amount of fuel. Yeah. So that's been taking a lot of the guys' time. Point blank, just operating that barge and going back and forth. So I just wanted to let you guys know that.
That's 3 hours a day, 1 hour down, 1 hour back, and probably an hour or 2. That's a lot
Minimum
of
that
time.
are out there doing it. Minimum, and then that boat that we're using, our boat's not operable, that little boat. So we're actually borrowing. We have MID's barge that we're borrowing, Twin Lakes, it's the same people, and then we have their boats, which we're borrowing too. So they've taken some time on our barge. And I think they know that, and then, but they're reciprocating with helping us out right now, big time.
Hence, thank you letter.
Yeah. Operations, the booster pumps up there on our tank, the raw water tank
Where are you at on your report? Because
I'm in
you're
operations.
jumping, I can't follow you.
Yeah, I'm in operations right now.
Okay.
So intake booster pump leak. These were never used, according to operations staff telling me. This was stuff put in during the last drought. We've identified a leak in the line, and now that we're using them, and we dug down, and Augustine was able to fix that about 97% of the way last week. So I went ahead, or 2 weeks ago, I put that in here. But yeah, and that's something that kind of, it happens. It's common practice. You have these big projects that are done, and then they're not used. The pipelines, the valves, nothing's used for years, and then you go to use it, and mega lugs aren't tightened up, or a gasket's rolled, and then you have a leak. However, we were able to get that almost buttoned up. We still need to go down there with some torque wrenches and see what we could do.
Backing you up on operation, you skipped the system meter audit that you.
Yeah, I've skipped a lot of stuff here.
Well, what I would like to see from you is, we spent a lot of time doing that audit. I'm sure you have some kind of report or summary. That I think would be very educational and beneficial for the board to see those kind of things.
Yeah, I was adding it on here for a couple months and no one said anything. So I was saying there there was 23 faulty, or there was 16 faulty meters, there was 3 boxes lit, raised, there was, so I just,
I mean, you did I was just thinking, but when you're getting close to having that thing, probably
Yeah.
1,100, I think at the end of this
Okay.
process, have a summary of all the things.
Absolutely.
And, you know, what did you learn from it? Because just doing the work, but what have you learned? What are you gonna change? What are you gonna do in the future?
absolutely, yeah, and, no, that's, and a lot of what we learned is we have bad meters that were installed in 2012, right? 2012, we're living,
Right around 2012.
Yeah, any meter that's from 2012 is slowing down
Mhm.
and less revenue for the district. But I definitely will do that, and all that information I have, or Augustine has 100% done himself, and then it's just me taking it and packaging it for you guys to look at.
I think you missed that meeting, Dan, when we talked about that.
Okay, I might have, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
But no, I see exactly what you're saying, Dan. You know, at the end of the conclusion, so I could show you guys what, for sure. Okay. And I am skipping on something. If there's anything you guys see here that you want to, bring up, bring up. Site inspections, you guys have mentioned that. Weekly, everything gets hit. Wells get hit daily. Even right now, our wells are off. I tell them to go out there daily. Just make it part of your routine. So,
Well, the one that ran out of water, is it recovering?
well, yes, it's recovering. And when I say it ran out of water, it started sucking air. Typically, that's saying that you're running out of water. But that was on. I don't remember the exact date. That
That
was,
just meant, in reality, we're over pumping it, so I'm gonna,
especially when you have, for the most part, all of our wells are right next to each other.
yeah.
For the most part. Yeah, and we had them full bore because that's the way a well's supposed to run.
Okay,
This
well-
place has kept them throttled since they've been installed. You throttling down the well, every well guy I've ever known says you never run a well like that. You know what I mean? It's not optimal. It's typical, you want to open those things and let them run. But then with that, you need to stay on it. That's why I'm trying to get staff every day when you go out and take a look at the wells. Every day, even if they're not on, go out and take a look, make sure no one cut the fence or something. Just
By its recovery, would you say we were over pumping it
I think we were over pumping it.
by a third, a quarter,
I don't know.
no percent?
No, I don't have that.
When you
percentage.
throttle a well, you're increasing the head and decreasing the flow.
Yeah.
It doesn't really hurt it, it's not gonna increase the load on the motor or anything else like that.
No.
It could, in fact, you could, when you throttle, it depends on what the pump is designed to do. The motor's gonna do, the electric motor's gonna do whatever work you put in front of it until it burns itself out, because it's not an intelligent thing. But when you throttle it, you're just increasing the head, reducing their flow. You could be increasing the efficiency, but when you increase the head, you would also increase your costs. So it's not, you can run an open flow, but if you don't have the water coming in, you need to throttle it to protect the pump. That's, otherwise.
And then-
And the run amps do go down.
There was no pump and these are things I'm learning, I've mentioned to you, I'm not, it's not my deal. But they had no pump protection. Now they do. One had pump protection installed, but the range was small. So they opened up the range. And with what I've learned is through the power that we get from PG&E, it fluctuates so much up here that there has to be a larger range, or else they kick off regularly on those motor savers.
I'll bring up one thing real quick, that it's encouraging, the fact that it recovered quickly. Because that means that, because the aquifer isn't being recharged, it hasn't drained a bunch or anything.
Yeah, so we were just pulling it down.
It's just,
The dry run hasn't been taken
it's
care of.
coming in horizontally from other places, and so, that's actually kind of encouraging that it was
Yeah,
recovered.
if you would, I'll say, you could maybe design the pump to pump a little less
80%.
water and reduce the horsepower. It's all relative. If it
Yeah.
starts doing that and we need the water, we just need to throttle it back and go.
Right,
go and
but
keep
that's
it.
not a bad
Yeah.
thing.
Danny, what is increased
Okay.
hedging?
What,
You keep saying
let me give you
Sure,
an
yeah.
example. I'll give you, as an example, if you turn on your water hose and the water's running out there, when you put your finger on the top of the hose
Yeah.
to squirt, that's increasing the head. You're creating a back pressure against that faucet. That means increasing the head. So increasing the head can happen two ways. One, as your pump draws down in the well, that increases how far the pump and motor have to lift water. If you crank down the valve, the water table can stabilize, but now you have this other, I'll say, simulated pressure that's increasing the head as well. It's pounds of pressure or lift. It's all relevant. The motor doesn't know what you're doing, whether you're throttling it down or you're pumping water. It's going to be one of the two. So
So the real fact is the motor, and it's a centrifugal pump or an air fan, it's the mass of the water you're moving that it counts. It's just how many pounds per minute is that thing moving.
right.
And when you restrict more back pressure, you make it pump to a higher pressure, the pounds go down. It doesn't care about the pressure. It doesn't. Not part of the equation. It's the pounds per minute that's moving through that thing that determines the power requirement. And just because a motor might be 10 horsepower and you got it pinched down and it's actually pulling 5, it's just going to be a little less efficient. But it's still only making 5 horsepower when you pinch it down. So you're not going to overload the motor by shutting the valve. What you can overload the motor do is by taking the discharge piping off and having it go right out of the pump, and it's pumping beyond its capability, the motor's capability. Then you lose, then you got problems.
Okay, keep going, Patrick.
Okay.
It's your truck.
I mentioned the intake check valve,
Mhm.
so you guys know, okay. For some reason, here, CalPERS is asking us to, we have to produce information for a CalPERS health insurance audit. Maybe you guys can help with this. The district stopped using CalPERS health insurance in 2007. We don't have, CalPERS never got that notice.
They said they did.
They
said they
They said they
did.
did. They never got that memo. So now they want to audit the district's health insurance. And so my first question was, well, Cindy, here's some minutes, Patrick. Look, it's in the minutes from 2007 that the board voted to move forward with a new health insurance.
We had a resolution ending CalPERS and we went to audit.
Yeah, so I provided that to the gentleman right away, and then he responded, this isn't enough. So I called him up and I said, well, first off, Nathan, why do I need to even listen to this? You know, why do I have to provide you information? He said, well, I can provide you a government code, blah, 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 which tells you you have to. Okay, so long story short, he's under the assumption that his department made a mistake as well and just never filed it. However, our minutes aren't sufficient by his supervisor just to overlook it. So now we have to go through a lengthy health insurance audit for something we haven't had for 13 years. So that's going to take Cindy my time. Not a big deal, I just wanted to let you guys know that.
But we do or we don't have helpers.
We don't have their health insurance, we haven't had it for 13 years,
Okay.
but we just have to...
Somewhere it got lost in the paperwork.
Yeah.
We have them for our retirement, but not, we used to have them for our health care, but we did away with that on our health care,
I
and
was going to say,
so,
if we don't have them, we don't have to do anything for that, but.
That's what I thought, and that's what I said to him, and he said, no, per government code here, Patrick, you do. So...
and some of it is pulling the records, who was employees here, what were they making,
Yeah, and on the, to wrap up on the barge pump, I was able to negotiate. I got that down $1,100. Because I like doing that stuff. And on the rent for rent, the pump rental, we were able to. I told him I wanted to pay him a fourth of what a monthly service charge cost. And he asked why. I said, because I've been getting a fourth of the water. And he said no. He said, well, let me talk. And he came back out as 50% down. I said, okay. So we negotiated that down a little bit just because the inefficiencies with that pump while it was running. And that's my report.
You're buying a new truck.
Was that in my report?
No.
Vehicles and
Come on,
equipment. The
That's
district
an
is in need
action
of a new service truck. Please see attached staff report.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's coming up, Dan.
That's coming up, and
There's a thing in here for the
Oh,
service,
okay,
so we'll
okay.
get to that.
Never
So,
mind.
Okay,
yeah, well, let's hear the water loss numbers are right around where they have been. The past couple months, we're at 14%, which I've seen in the past stated as a district goal of 10% and less, and I'm gonna do everything I can to get it there. 14% is pretty dang
Pretty good, yes,
But,
compared to where we've been.
But I think that, once we get that valve on there and we continue, Augie keeps changing out these meters, residential meters, I think that number's gonna continue to decrease.
okay.
So
So,
14 is great.
14's, it's average, it's in the good realm.
What is that equivalent in money?
I think it's roughly 500, I could figure that out for you in a minute. $500 an acre foot is what it, roughly, and these are older numbers, which cost us, so I could figure out the lot, how much, with acre feet, but
I usually figure it out, but I don't have it with me.
Well, I was just thinking if you had zero loss and you wanted to do an increase, how close does that come?
yeah, there's no, the average system loss is 10 to 15% on any system.
Oh,
Any system. And that's AWWA, like those are the, there's always gonna be system loss.
let's do that.
Yeah.
so it's about $4,000 roughly. If you look at 15% of, and I'm just rounding the numbers. I'm just going 56 acre feet is what we pump.
Per month, is that what that
Times 0.15.
Per month?
Times
That's for this month.
So it's 7.84 acre feet, so if his number of 500 is correct, you're right around $4,000 is what that costs us.
Yep.
So,
Cut change, right?
not really, that's
No.
50,000 a year, that average.
Oh,
but I know
that's a
it's-
lot of money.
Yeah, and that's, we're,
Right.
everything we've done here has been helping, right now we have one known leak, so we're doing everything we can.
I don't think we're criticizing, I just.
Oh, no, not at all, I'm just saying, that I think the direction we're going on the water loss is good.
That's good.
Okay, I'm gonna go, Emery, any other comments? Russ, comments for Pat? No, Dan?
I think we've covered it.
Okay, let's move on then. This is for the approval of the consent calendar and agenda, pages 8 through 18.
I will move approval.
Second.
Okay, so we can have a discussion. Patrick, there's in here, I was reading through these minutes, and there was some to-dos on here.
Yeah, yes.
Discussion and action items, approval of a drought contingency plan, consensus of the board, you were going to compare to this for our next regular scheduled board meeting. And I want to make sure that we get this. And approval and adoption powers, consensus of board to direct GM to review the proposal and develop a very inclusive strategic plan guidelines for our district. So I want to make sure that those are on the agenda for next month.
Yeah, the drought contingency, you guys, after Emery provided you some information, I had no clue, there's plenty, that stuff is all hit on what I was bringing was this big in comparison to everything the district had already done, I just hadn't seen it. So my drought contingency, as a program or whatever I labeled it, that's gone. The SOP for, the PSPS power shutdowns, standard operating procedure, I need to get to that.
Okay, so just bring those two items back to the next month.
Bring the drought contingency,
Yeah,
still
just-
even though,
We had it on here as a directive,
Okay.
I want to make sure that we cover it.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that we've met those guidelines and that, we follow through on
Okay.
what we said we're going to do. Okay, so we have a first, who was the first, please remind me, Dan? You did the first one?
Yes, yes.
Emery second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous on this. So now let's move on. The next item was the presentation by NBS. That's pages 19 through 54. You can put that to the back of your packet, and we'll keep moving.
New truck.
And this is item B it's pages 55 through 57. So Patrick, this is that we need a new service truck.
Yeah.
This is
No.
it.
Start with just one quick question. We have budgeted a service truck. How much money's in the budget? Already approved.
How much was it?
We have $35,000 set aside in the budget for a vehicle, and I can't find 35, and that's because that's what money we had at the time, but that's why I'm here asking you guys. We don't have, I can't find a service truck for $35,000.
Well, I understand that, but I said how much do we have in the budget?
$35,000.
Okay.
What do we spend on maintenance for the vehicles?
Each vehicle, or?
All of them?
Well, I mean, you've only replaced this one. What's going on with this one that's driving up your maintenance costs?
I could look at the exact amounts. Well, this is a 2003. It has heavy miles. I've put on, it's been brought in twice for out of alignment. We've replaced the tires. In a year, I've replaced the tires twice. Full set of tires. They're just bald. They're bald. It's not driving properly. We've had it aligned at the dealer prior to my arrival. Didn't work. We had it aligned. My guys, who I thought were great, Merced, didn't work. And we've had it aligned in Jamestown at the dealer again. So it's an older truck. There's major issues. There's the air conditioning's gone out on it. Motor mounts, the exhaust.
Reupholstered.
Reupholstered.
So the question is, how many miles a month are you putting on the service truck?
A lot.
Okay.
Yeah. So the thing, it's not efficient driving that around as much as it is. But we need a service truck here.
Okay, does this vehicle go home with the on-call person?
Yes, on call.
Okay, so why don't we look at maybe modifying our processes to say, rather than drive this heavy-duty truck home in the evening, if you're on call, have them drive a lightweight pickup home that's going to get better mileage. They can come here to the yard and pick up the service vehicle if they have to come in. I mean, that would be my first thought. If we're putting a ton of miles on this because it's the on-call service vehicle. They're the only ones taking a vehicle home, and we have other trucks. Couldn't we use one of those?
Yeah, it's just a slower response, and with our guys on call, it's less than a mile away or 2 or 3 miles away.
Right.
So when they come in, it's just convenient to have that truck, so you don't have to come in. You get a call and say you're located out there by Emery, and
Right.
you live out there,
Right.
you just go straight to the call.
But
And this is, this truck, it's a 2003. So I don't want to beat these guys up.
No, I'm not saying, I don't think it that way.
Oh, I know.
saying-
I'm explaining the maintenance on it. It's an
Right.
old truck.
No, I agree, but I guess the other question is, how many calls are we getting after hours where they're having to drive it?
Minimal
Okay, so therefore, what you said we're putting a ton of miles on it.
during the day. It's not just on call.
Okay,
It's just that, right now we have someone drives around all day long.
in that service truck.
Yeah.
And
And
then
then
what? What are they, my question,
Well, I'll break down. Okay, right now we have a Ford that is being meter audits all day. If there's nothing to be done, an F-150 is being driven around by Augustine doing all the meter audits. And that's if there's nothing to do, he just goes and does meter audits. But there's never nothing not to do. The service truck is supposed to be for service calls. So if we get 1 or 2 of those a day, which is about what it is, 1 or 2 a day, that's what it's doing. But it's also, the service truck is on every leak. It's on the blow-offs. It was down at intake to fix the line the other day. It has all of our tools. It has everything on it.
I'm
Yeah,
just
so-
trying to understand that.
Well, and I'm just explaining. So we have one truck that has tools. One truck, and that's that service truck. Then we have a quad cab, which I don't know why that was purchased. It's just a big truck that drives around, and it doesn't have any tools, and we have one person in it.
I can tell you why it was
Yeah, I
purchased.
can tell you too. Yeah,
That
so-
was actually purchased for
the board member.
board members for
Yeah.
whenever they went to meetings or whatever, then they would have one nice clean truck
Yeah.
to go to meetings
So,
in.
yeah, eventually I want to phase, what I would like to do is, get a service truck, and then what I would like to do next year is get a little S10, a little scoot around, and do that And then we would have our old service truck, which is still is going to be used. It's not like we're going to retire it, but then we have a new service truck and an old service truck. So we have 2 trucks we could work off of. And right now we kind of been running 2 crews. You know, we have 2 guys and 2 guys, and that's kind of been the way it's running. So right now we have 2 guys in the truck that has tools, and then the other 2 guys are in a truck where they put tools into a bucket, and then they put it in the back of the truck.
What are we using the quad cab for? Are we using it?
No, it's during the day if Randy has to run around somewhere, that's what it's used for. Yeah.
In the errands that people run, meter reading, taking samples to the lab, running around for this and that. Basically, they have to get in a truck and get 10 miles a gallon. So there is a need for a lighter vehicle. It could be doesn't have to be a truck. Could almost be a minivan, a van, a
Seems like.
Prius, I don't care. But we could have a lighter vehicle that does the,
I would love a lighter vehicle in addition, but I think we need a service truck.
well, maybe you do need a service truck.
Yeah, but I agree 100% that a lighter vehicle would also be nice, but I didn't want to come here asking for 2 vehicles. I came here wanting to ask for 1. And this is the priority list. Hands down, this is what would help us out in operations. Just with that Chevy quad cab, this was the 2nd time in a week it's been towed. The Ford just got out of, whenever you guys see Cal Auto Services on you always look at the bills real good. That's California Auto Services in Waterford. One of our vehicles is in there every month. Every month. Right now, this is the 3rd, we just replaced 2 throttle bodies on the quad cab, and then the vehicle still isn't working properly. So
Why don't we get rid of the quad cab and just make a lighter vehicle out of it? It just seems like, but I know we're talking about a service vehicle, but it just bothers me. We got that quad cab sitting around doing nothing. But I mean, maybe that should even be traded in for a service vehicle rather than.
yeah, we get about $4 grand for that truck. I've looked into it. So right now, if we could, I believe I made a mistake when I came here trying to make all these vehicles run. I honestly, and I believe I take it on my shoulder. If you want to look at our budget from last year and this year, the amount of money spent on vehicle repairs, I made a major mistake. I should have came here and said we're buying new vehicles, and hopefully you guys would have said yes. We went way over budget last year, and we're on track to do it again. The vehicles, and since I've been here, these vehicles have been maintained. Since October, so a year from now, these vehicles have been maintained. Augustine's one of his jobs is monthly to go through each vehicle, from the brake lights to the engine oil to everything, and he gives me a report on what's needed. And he stays on top of it. And one reason that we're spending all this money is because in the past, the maintenance reports weren't done. So things weren't getting fixed. And now we're trying to fix it, but I've made, I spent more money on these vehicles than I should have. And now I'm looking at it saying, we need a truck, at least one right now, or else we're going to find ourselves where 2 of our vehicles go down. Because right now it's just been lately, and so actually the quad cab's gone down 3 times. We paid for a tow truck twice to get it there. The other time we towed it ourselves with one of our other vehicles. So we had 2 vehicles running to Waterford and 1 vehicle working here. And then running back and forth, because it's not convenient. I've called all the local guys in town that could probably work on equipment, and no one has wanted to. So it has to go to a city to get worked on. So.
Henry, comment?
Well, I sit here, deja vu, remembering how it was trying to get vehicles when I worked. And I'd sit there and say, why can't I convince these guys, these board members, I need this vehicle? I was empathizing with him, listening to that. And he obviously knows what he wants. We're here 1 day a month. We make decisions. I think he spent too much money fixing the trucks too. When you said you were going to do that, because I think you remember way back when I said, when you buy trucks. I was the only one here. When are you going to buy trucks? Because those trucks are really worn out. I don't know what the mileage is, but they've got some of the worst mileage you can put on vehicles. Different guy every day, uses in and out, start, stop. Most places, we used to have like 100,000 mile, that's it. They're out. And we need to have something like that, because there's a point when stuff just gets to be too expensive, like you said. You know, I support you buying a truck. I told you I'd like to see 3 quotes. I'd like to see one from Rush Truck Center, but I will support this truck purchase, because I think we do need a vehicle. There may be some differences on the board of what we need, but I'll go along whatever the majority wants to go with, small, whatever, but, you know what, you're the manager, our faith has to be in you, you know what you need to make this thing work, so I support your decision.
Russ?
Thank you.
Okay, when you say service truck,
That's what I was just gonna.
are you really talking a service body truck, or are you just talking a heavy-duty pickup truck that you use for service?
No, this is a Ford 250. It has the utility boxes and the rack. It's a single cab. It's manual. It's
And loaded with tools.
no, not a tool on it. Not
No,
any
he's
tool.
saying you will load it.
Oh yeah. I was like, oh, we can't get. I thought you were saying and it has tools. No, yeah, yes, it'd be loaded with tools. But this is
Is that
it's
90
basic.
grand?
This is what was it?
90? What's the cost?
Oh, it's right here. It's right here.
48,000,
50,000 is what he said.
yeah.
Yeah, it's 48. Well, I'm reading the staff report. It is $48,058.78 out the door, and that's with $2,100 that they knocked off.
Is this a 250?
It's a 250. It's the base lowest model that, unless you special order something, that you could go to a dealership and look. And that's what I've dealt with is on the 3 estimates is I've gotten 2. It's 3, but really 2 because Oakdale Chevrolet and Steve Chevrolet in Chowchilla are the same, but they gave me 2 different numbers. So
I'd like to see you go to Rush Ford
and then
Truck
this-
Center
this-
in Modesto. Serious.
yeah, this Ford place in Merced. So I've received estimates.
It's not one of the dumb turbo 4-bangers or something.
No.
V8.
No, it's a V8. It's a V8.
Okay.
Yes, and it has to, or it doesn't have to be, but it's a gas engine because up here there's no diesel.
And you
So
can't afford a diesel.
Yeah, I know.
Another
But
day.
it's sending people down the hill. So anyhow,
Melanie, any comments?
No.
Dan?
Well, it sounds to me like we need to get rid of the quad cab, but on the other hand, I'm all for getting, I know we're spending a lot of money on these things. I do want to make sure though, if we get a new vehicle, that we're maintaining it properly.
oh yeah,
Here's my frustration with your request. I've asked for records, I asked mileage, so we got a lot of mileage. You don't update us and educate us, so we're trying to ask all these questions. And that's my frustration, because it's causing you to bounce. And what I mean by that is, okay, maintenance records, so on and so forth. To me, coming in here and requesting a vehicle, this is one element of it, but bring me the data. Because that's what we have, that's the only time we can look at it. So, no, hold on, hear me out, because I'm not gonna, I want you to be better prepared when you come here to educate me. It's like I come and say, I need this, I want that. But I'm taking that, but no, you need to back up what your request is, why, don't just tell me. That goes back to where they're spending the time, and that's been my frustration, not just with you, with the other managers, and you're kind of getting my blunt of this, or burn of it. I'm not gonna say we don't need this, because I think we do because of what, but you need to come in here and bring me the data. Don't just bring me something to approve, to show me, here's the maintenance I've spent on it. You said I made a mistake on this. That's big in itself. Hey, I did this, and I'm acknowledging that that's really good. But here's where we're going. And my thought is, why would we want to keep that truck if you had to put 2 sets of tires on it, it doesn't drive right, so on and so forth? That doesn't make, to me, good businesses to keep putting more money into something that's already worn out or whatever. If we can get a couple thousand for it, let's dump the damn thing. Okay, then it's not
just
worth
like the last trucks you guys sold for $500.
Okay,
man.
then let's get rid of the damn thing. Why would we keep it?
But because it operates, it
But
runs.
it's costing us a lot of money to operate it. So why would we have it sit here? That's the logic, that's my logic.
The way I'm sitting looking at it is that every month I give you guys reports and I touch on vehicle maintenance every single time. Now that I didn't do a full-on report like this to turn it in for vehicle maintenance because I have other things to go on, and then I've been trying to get 17-year-old truck continue going.
I'm not,
and
I'm not knocking that.
I'm
just saying to you is, when you come in here, it's like, okay, we have to justify the expenses. We have 35,000 in the budget. Do we have another 15,000? And you could easily say to me, look, I put $4,000 into this truck in tires and repairs. So therefore, it's going to pay, if I have to drive it another year, I'm another 4,000 or 6,000. All I'm trying to show you is another way to come in here and educate us, where you don't get all these questions.
Yeah, and I'm trying to balance on how I could come in here and educate you guys and how I could continue doing my job too.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I spent about 10 days getting ready to educate you guys. So then the other 20 days is doing my work. So I'm trying to find that balance of, okay, if I could start sitting on a computer 100% of the time and putting every report together you guys want to, and then operations, then we'll have to hire someone for operations. So on the type of general manager, we could talk about that in a little bit, but if you want me to provide this as my predecessor did, and then let operations tank, I could do that, but I don't want to. I'm trying to find a balance here, Danny, and to come through and to spend another, to information I provide you monthly, to put together in a report and graphs and stuff. I could start doing that, but I'm trying to find a balance of keeping the place, the district in water.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I came here a year and a half ago, there was discussion on new trucks. I didn't think asking for a new truck right now was a big deal.
No, it's, to me, I think you're missing my point though, because, okay, I know we went through and we brought up all the vehicles because they hadn't been maintained. We acknowledge, great job, so on and so forth. Now we come back and this is what I see. Don't just, I feel you're being very defensive. I'm going to say that because...
Absolutely, I feel you're questioning my judgment.
No, I'm trying to get a better education. That's not a judgment. I'm not questioning your judgment. If I question that, I would say there's no way because you made poor decisions. I'm not saying that. I'm saying to you is, I like facts and figures. You don't have to give me a lot of this happened, whatever. Tell me the facts and figures so I understand the equation.
Well,
okay, let me finish. You said, let me finish. So what I'm trying to say is, show us, hey, I've had this maintenance and then this problem. Now, when you said it doesn't drive right, I've had to put 2 sets of tires on and had it towed 3 times. To me, this is the part that I don't agree with you on, is why keep it? Why keep it? For what reason? Where would we need it? Do we need 2 service trucks? Do we need 2 service trucks?
We do.
Okay, why?
And that's, this is the reason I'm defensive, because I don't know how many times I've been asked what the people do out here, and I spend 10 days a month showing you what the people are doing out here, and then it still isn't coming forth. So I guess I'm not doing my job properly, because I'm still, operation staff's being questioned on what they're doing. Like I'm being questioned on what are you guys even doing? So I wish I could find a way to do this packet where it will come across. And I will take any suggestions from anybody here on that. Because I list it, I bulletproof it, I do everything I possibly can, and I still get told, what are the guys doing? So right now, they're doing a lot.
I'm going to challenge you, Patrick, because you're saying, I'm getting told. I don't think we're telling you. And I think that's where it's coming across. We're asking you. Okay, hold on. Put yourself, I know what shoes you're wearing, and I see all the different things, the moving parts. But you also have to understand where we're coming from. We get a snapshot. We get a tidbit of information that we have to understand and make decisions on for this community, the financial aspects and so on and so forth. So when we come and ask all these questions, we're asking to be educated. And right now, all I'm saying is, I'm not opposed to this, but I'd like to be educated more in a simple format. I don't need, a big long story.
To get back to uneducated, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm showing you guys, because again, you stated this meeting, last meeting, every other meeting. What are they doing? You've said that to me. I don't know how I could I don't know what way you want me to give you guys that information. I do know that they're doing, when I came, I said the same thing. What is operations doing? We are fixing leaks. We are maintaining wells. We are, like we're running a barge. We're like, I don't know how else to get that information to you guys. And so we have to, we started a flushing valve,
Okay,
flushing
hold on,
program.
time out. We're not
trying to get
talking about what they're doing. You've kind of taken me on a different track. We're talking about the truck. All I asked you was, give me the picture of why we need it. I understand we need to do it because when they brought the truck to my house, it had an exhaust leak. The seat was, and that might have been prior to you coming here. I said, this is absolute BS that this truck is in this condition. And I said, why haven't you taken it in? I think this was before you came and got these things repaired. And then you came on board and got the seats fixed and da-da-da-da. And I was very pleased. But all I'm trying to show you here is help us to understand the costs. You can tell us these things, but you undoubtedly, hold on, let me just, if you brought to me, and this is just me, maybe I'm the only board member, that, hey, this 2003 truck, in the last year, we bought 2 sets of tires, here's the cost, here's the cost, here, and this is why I want to do it. I believe you, but you're coming across to me right now is very angry that I'm asking you these questions.
No, it's not. It's the same thing.
Don't get frustrated.
Well, what I'm frustrated in is sometimes I think these questions are just to ask questions, and there's really no end goal of these questions being asked. Sometimes I think that it's just that people like to speak. I don't know.
Okay, hold on. Go ahead.
Patrick, I tried to get staff cars. We really wanted to get LTD Crown Victorias, just like the rest of the police force had. And they said, we get a Geo Metro or some shit like that, I said, no. But what we did, well, these cars seem to always be like really hot button issues for boards. We would paper them to death. This little one-page thing would be maybe 40 pages. And you had to bury the cost, in there. And in answer to you about getting rid of vehicles, I don't get rid of anything. I keep every piece of junk I got because I might be able to use it if I've got nothing else working, We ranchers and farmers just don't get rid of stuff. We just keep it, and I think that's his mentality too, right? Keep that as a spare because you might need it because everything might be broke down. I had 2 tractors down. I had a mechanic, I was on one, he was on another, I had to feed cows, I came here. But I keep every piece of junk I've got.
The thing is, if we're paying more money for that thing than what it costs, then we should get rid of it.
What do you mean?
I'm just saying, if we put more money maintenance-wise into that vehicle, then we need to get rid of it. I mean,
Well, if you're only getting $500 for the vehicle, it's hardly worth the exercise.
But the real bottom line is, we got more work than we can do, we're short on people, we got X amount of hours, and too many of them are being wasted on vehicles. So it gets really simple. We gotta solve that issue, but we gotta do it on the cheap. So if we gotta buy a vehicle from time to time, and we all agreed almost 3 years ago to buy this truck.
Yes, and the other thing is,
we're not arguing about buying a truck.
I still don't understand why we have that quad cab out there. I'm still wondering about that. I mean, why do we have that?
Take it home with you.
And you could not buy that quad cab today.
Okay,
You could not buy it.
I want to make a motion to go ahead and buy the truck, and then
I'll second
we're
that
done.
motion.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
With all that said, can we take a couple minutes? Sure. Thank you.
It's 3:36, how about 3:45? We'll take a break till 3:45.
All right.
That report, Patrick, would be like 24 pages, because we knew the board members hated buying vehicles. For some reason, vehicles are hot button issues. I don't know why.
It's not even vehicle.
I'm not
My thoughts
questioning
were my thoughts on if this place wasn't in dire straits, I think a general manager would be well suited to sit here and do this stuff and provide 24 pages of everything in the back of
Well, you
the
don't
staff
have-
report, in the back of this, and to do this administration, I think that would help.
You're
But-
just one man show.
Yes.
Okay, we are reconvening at 3:45 on November 16th. We took just a brief break. The next item on the agenda is approval of a appreciation letter to Jet Irrigation Twin Lakes Management for their assistance. It's in your packet. It is page 58.
I
Move
just
approval.
moved to approve that. I
I
think
just
that's a
did,
great
I
idea.
did. I said move approval.
Oh, you did, then I second it.
Okay, on to the next.
Okay, so you made it first. Dan, you were the first.
He made it set first, I seconded it.
Okay, so Emery made it first.
Did
Dan
you-
made it
did-
second.
And you approved the truck, right? That was a
Yes.
5-0?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure because I didn't write it down.
Then what page are we on?
We're on page 58.
Okay.
Russ has his hand up. We have a first and a second to approve this letter.
My question is it done? I thought that you approve, you appreciate somebody when the job's done. I'm not so convinced the job's done, is it?
They provided their job.
They've
Yeah,
done their job.
they've
And
done,
they're still doing it.
yeah, and they've, exactly.
They're still owning it, or they're,
No, they gave us a loaner barge,
okay.
and then I sent an email when this all happened down at intake with the issues that Twin Lakes was helping us with. So they've given us a loaner barge, and they've let us use their boat to go back and forth.
My only concern is if it's done and this.
Well, yeah, they're, yes.
It's not time yet.
But they're still helping.
That's fine.
Okay.
This is just try to keep good relations with them.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
They've helped out.
I like the letter idea. I had some edits, but I'll go with what you have.
No. Ask Cindy. Anything I write, I know I'm not a good writer, so I love edits.
I struggle with this too because I too am not. So here's my suggestion. I would like to formally and sincerely express, it's not my gratitude, our gratitude for the amazing work, because it's, if you want us all to sign this, it's not just mine.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
understand it when you're writing and it's in the I context. I didn't like the fact experiencing distribution system failures. I would say we experienced a distribution. I would make it singular because they're helping us with one item, because it makes it sound like our district, not that it's
I
not
got
really
you.
happening.
A catastrophic system failure.
You know,
Help us with it.
Singular.
And then it's not just you, I think it's your team is significantly appreciated so that they can pass it on to other people that work with them. That's the last sentence there.
Okay.
Your team is significantly appreciated as a valued partner. And I also put in here the sentence before that, know the value, the amount of effort that your team has put forth to help keep the water flowing, something to that effect where it's a little bit more, you know.
To bring it into what
Are
we're
you
doing.
trolling for the whole board's signatures, or is our board president able to sign for all of
I
us?
would like them all.
That's why I'm saying our team and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
So,
there you go.
Yeah.
You know, also,
Good.
I mean, that's just, you know,
You
I
can-
can collect all our signatures.
You
on
can
file.
also do it without each signature as long as it says at the bottom, the general manager and the board, just because if he's going to do corrections, some may not be available to sign
That's
it.
why, I was talking about mechanics, that's my question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can just put general manager Patrick McGowan and board of directors
Yeah, fine.
without the signatures.
all right, there you go.
I wanted to sign.
We got edits.
Oh.
Is everybody comfortable with the edits?
Whatever.
I'm not a good.
Okay, all in favor?
So that would
Aye.
be approved with changes.
Yes, okay.
It's the second time we did that.
All right, so now we're moving on to tablets, pages 59 through 61.
Mine was totally dead when I finally saw your email today and came home from work at 12:35. I plugged it in for 4 minutes at home, and it's up to about 80%. It hit zero when I plugged it in. Somehow it got itself turned on, because I never turned it on.
Well,
Doesn't mean I know how to use it.
you know, when it goes blank, okay, like I turned it on, power button, and now it's blank. How do you make it?
Swipe at it.
Swipe it up.
Screen.
Swipe up on it.
Swipe up?
Well, you don't know which one's up.
Well, I know that's not because the button to turn it on is right here.
The button's at the bottom.
Well, maybe it went down. Oh, you got it, no.
Here, I got a charger right here, let's see if it's got any power.
You have to,
100%.
there, it's on.
It's on.
Yeah, so when that goes blank, what do you do? Just, your finger.
And then the button, if it goes blank, press the,
I got up to 89%.
press the button, let me.
Which end is
We're
up?
going to do training, I'm ready. I just didn't have a picture.
The power button is on the top right.
I got that.
Yep.
Oh, that end's up, okay.
Yeah, the top right, there should be a button right there.
It can be said that I don't know which end is up.
That's for sure.
So the home button, okay, so the power button is the top right. You guys see that?
Yep.
So the little like, home button should be on the bottom. On the bottom.
Between the two other ones.
Yes.
And what does that do?
On the bottom.
Oh, here. See that?
The button,
On the screen.
Right there.
button at the center.
It can actually be, you can flip it either way.
What does that mean?
That means, like, I like mine on the bottom.
Oh, like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can flip it either way. And then when you
guys are good. You guys are
push
good.
it up,
Oh, yeah.
it's just the opposite direction.
So now we all have. we have-
So when you get your packets, you guys will turn it on,
Right.
and you'll be right there, right? And then,
We don't have to use this, but I'm still gonna get it in the email.
We're gonna
You will
keep up
still
with-
get an email.
We're gonna keep up with Cindy from now on in this thing. She's watching hers. That's what we're supposed to be doing.
You, the way the motion read was that we will send you an email. I'll also send it to your regular email and I will send it to your tablet. And you can still get an email, a physical packet. The way the motion went would not be delivered to you in the evening. When you come into a board meeting, you will have a physical packet sitting at your desk.
Or print it out.
But I don't have to use this, I can use my email.
Yes, you just won't have a physical packet until you walk in here.
Well, that's,
Good.
okay.
But I will say that, Emery, during the presentation,
Yeah.
I got to see all the colors of what she was on her
Yeah,
charts.
oh, yeah, that would have been good.
Yeah, I was looking at all the colors, but I didn't want to
Okay,
interrupt
so we
her.
got this, right? So
Yeah.
now, how do we get the board pack?
so the board pack, go to email.
So with this,
So we go,
so we
Go
go
to email.
where's that?
do something. stupid thing.
Just got tired.
So
You want me to
your
show you,
email,
Is
Why
what?
don't you show you
Again.
Which one's email?
your email will be on the first page, the home, where it says email.
Oh, yeah.
It says email,
Got it.
Patrick McGowan board packet.
is swipe up.
No, it was off, it was black,
Okay.
and then nothing to do, so
Okay.
it didn't look like
Then
that
what
was
happens?
about.
Then how do you keep split page per page?
Just
Or
swipe
you
up.
keep spinning up?
Yeah, it's
It's
loading.
different,
Oh,
mine
oh.
goes, I have
Well,
mine
this-
set to go
this way.
straight to
Yeah.
email.
Now, if it goes blank, what do you do? Just
Yeah, you just,
go like that?
yeah, if it falls asleep is what you're saying?
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you just jog it to wake it
No,
up.
I'm saying
Where
it's
do you
blank.
get to the
You just go like
email?
that.
You gotta
It
show.
says email, that's what I'm doing right now.
It's on the right hand side.
Yeah, it's on the right hand side, the top right, I believe.
It's on, it's
It says
a white
email
letter.
right on.
Okay, this
Yeah.
is me. I open up my email, but I have.
Yeah, I put them all on the top right. I think.
Yeah, see, if I go back,
You might
mine
automatically
is email
on.
right there.
Yeah, but how come they're,
That's it.
Like no
what do I need a
Wi-Fi
password for then?
settings?
Do we have Wi-Fi?
Oh,
here?
you're already in there. You're in your email.
You know, but I didn't put any passwords in.
Yeah, I didn't put a password.
I did it all for you guys. I did it all for you guys.
Put your packet
So
right
right there.
Yeah, you
Once
press
you
the.
did it permanently, will you come do it permanently on my computer at home? And don't want to work to go
We
to
have to
sleep
sign
after
in
8
now.
minutes?
No, you shouldn't have to. No Wi-Fi, a network connection is required. Wi-Fi, okay. I don't know why it wasn't on.
So I probably need to sign in somehow to this.
Oh, you
Gmail.
guys, some of you haven't signed in. See, mine, I
Yes.
signed in and it stayed.
Show me
And
where to
as soon as
sign
I click it on,
Yeah.
I swipe it up and I go immediately to, it goes
Okay.
Emery's did
immediately
too.
to my
So how do I
email.
sign in? This is where I'm at.
Oh, you're already in then.
No, but when I go here to email, it hasn't updated since May.
Since I did it.
Pull it down to
Oh,
update it and
Wi-Fi
say
set.
okay.
No Wi-Fi connection, network connection is required
Okay.
to complete this task.
You gave us a different email though, right? You gave us all a different email.
On this one, he gave us, each one of us.
Yeah, and I don't know what, I lost mine,
Yeah,
so I don't
mine's
know
on
what
the
that
back.
was.
It's on the box, it's
Okay,
on your box.
You're on.
It's a label on your box.
Oh, okay.
Dan didn't bring his box. It was a blue piece of paper.
It's a post-it on your bear, like this.
See, this has been on your,
I didn't bring my box.
you've used this at home, lost it. Cause it's picked up your Sperry net. That's your, is
Yeah.
that what it's called? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so this will be ready to go on that too.
So if you don't remember your ID, Dan, Cindy's trying to
It's
help
on-
you sign.
it's right
No,
here.
No, Dan doesn't have
Oh.
his.
Well, I mean, obviously, if I'm seat 3, he's some other seat.
Okay, this one's not letting me connect to the internet either.
Yours?
No, this is Dan's.
Why
are some
of them and some aren't?
I don't know.
Technology.
I think because he's never,
You know, one of the things, and I can suggest, because I know you guys are gonna bounce around between us, but if we individually want to come and sit with you, it might be easier for you at the same time. You know, than trying to resolve all issues right here. I mean, I'm just throwing out, because I know you said use these things, but you can tell your board is not real techy, so, you know.
And you're
That's polite.
General manager's not
That's
either.
polite.
Well, you got us all, you went to the trouble, got us all signed up and everything.
We didn't buy these things.
Well, if we can't have a meeting,
We
we
bought
have
them
it
as
on
a
me.
tool to help us, and we haven't used them, and it's,
how can I get a capital on here? I need a capital right here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm not getting. I'm not gonna say this out loud.
Oh, yeah, you wanna tell them.
Or I'll
How do
take-
you-
well, no,
You gotta go one page at a time, and there's no fast way to get to the end.
One page at a time, I guess.
This sucks.
Is that right, Patrick? One page at a time, just pushing.
There's
it
no
along?
arrows or anything?
they're asking how, if you wanted to go to a certain subject off from the agenda, how would you, I'll say, jump forward?
This is the same as, oh yeah.
This is the same as the packet, you gotta flip through page by
Flip
page.
through
Oh, I got
pages.
it, Patrick.
This sucks.
Hey, you guys are on tape. too.
Hey, at least you guys are able to look.
It's this right here.
Okay, now I got the page 1. If I wanna go back, how do I go back?
Okay, let me see.
You got this page 1, or what page? You got,
The agenda for today.
Oh, you
Okay, but
know,
that's, wait a minute.
that's May 18th, you don't have today's agenda.
that's my problem. I'm looking at Bomberg and Griffin and stuff.
Now, how do I go back? Out of here. Oh, wait, there's stuff down here.
Well, yeah, that's what I did for you.
Okay, so, all right, so now,
Okay, that's from May 16th.
What's
So
the
you
one?
gotta
so I'm
find
gonna
your,
take that thing.
Why-
Okay,
Well, we
take
can't
that
say that right
one.
now
This
because we're on
one,
recorder.
Why is theirs working when it's not on Wi-Fi?
okay, so you gotta find your current email, you
No,
have.
I want to right click.
But it should find
You
it.
know what, we can make appointments for everybody to come in.
I think that would be
We'll
the
get it
wise
done.
thing.
Why, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
hey, can we do that? Because otherwise, I don't think we're gonna go very far, very fast.
Well, at least we got it turned on, and I got this.
Okay,
Now, how do you get past all that past stuff?
Okay.
so can we come to a consensus that
Yes.
you will, either Patrick or Cindy
Yeah.
will reach out and you'll make an individual appointment
Yeah.
and get your training?
Yes.
I mean,
And also, there are instructions in the board package, so when you try them when you get home, that also may work.
Do you have my email address that gave me? Would you have that?
Go to sleep.
Yeah, I can give that to you.
Cindy?
I'll email
Just send
it
it
to
to
you.
my email.
Hey, I like them about as much as you guys.
The
shut up?
Yeah.
instructions in the board packet is how to get to a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, we're far from there.
Yeah, and so we need instructions of how to get to, I'll say, the basic emails and so on. So it's up to us individually to take it on, and I think it's a great opportunity because it will also give you guys a chance to work one-on-one with Patrick and spend some time that way. So I know it's a busy time of the year, and you're going off when? When are you gonna be off in December?
We got to vote on it.
I'm not,
It was
Technically,
after the
maybe-
14th, because you wanted the meeting on the 14th.
Yeah, I'm not going off at all, I'm just that day.
You're just having a baby though.
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay, I just knew you were gonna have something on
Yeah.
it. So, no, the consensus we asked, rather than try to fix this, is everybody get the one-on-one with either Patrick or Cindy and what?
I thought you were talking about the day he wants to get off.
No, we're talking about this training on your,
If I just get the email, I'll be
your iPad or whatever.
Russ
So
doesn't need
make
to.
an appointment with Patrick or Cindy and get educated, so when we come here, we are all
Okay.
proficient operators.
And it's,
Cindy's cute.
So can I get that as a consensus that to just schedule and meet with staff for Amazon training?
Yes, is the board
Okay.
consensus on that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Okay, there you go, unanimous. All
thank
right.
you.
and the issue we're all dealing with right now is because you guys are on the district Wi-Fi.
Okay.
What was
That's
that?
part of it.
Yeah, when I set these all up at my house, all of them, we were all, it was all on my Wi-Fi, so everything worked swell. And then now it's, you know,
It
And we
should-
might.
We'll get
I
it
should pick
going.
that up. It should be on here. So.
Well, we were having trouble with the Wi-Fi today too, so that may be why.
Okay, so that's all that exercise. All right, next one is page 62, a removal of, or a request to change the regular scheduled meeting to a special meeting on the 14th of December, just moving it one week.
Can I move that we go ahead and do that? I think that's great because that moves it away from Christmas, closer to Christmas.
Okay.
And I don't want it close to Christmas anyway.
Okay, so you're making the first to move it?
Yes.
Second?
Second.
Nelly, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Was that unanimous?
Yes.
Russ, out.
All right.
Okay, yes.
Unanimous?
I'm off that week of Christmas, so it would have been easy. Now I gotta take time off work.
It's before
It's
Christmas.
costing me money.
It shouldn't affect you. It's before Christmas.
Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is information discussing resilience backup generators. This is just the application, I take it?
we submit, yes, that's our completed application. I took some of the stuff out of the application, I had a personal.
And this is the one, is this the one for the $300,000
Yes.
grant?
Yeah, and that's
Okay,
listed in
this-
there.
Yeah, so you talked about this a
Yes,
lot.
earlier, yes.
Okay, so any questions, because this is discussion, anybody have any questions? Pages 63 through 72.
My brain is telling me we got an issue here, because you're talking about 150 kilowatt generators, and we got one pump by itself that's 250 horsepower, and my brain keeps telling me that that's more than 150 kilowatts, so I want to make sure that at the lake, if we're talking about a generator, that it's big enough.
Okay, I think it's a very relevant, I think this is the application to get the generators and to get the money, is that fair?
Yes.
And then if,
And then you're gonna check it out.
Well, our engineer has checked out this application, Blackwater Engineering.
Okay.
So, as far as the sizing of all that, I mean, that's something that I will work with them on it to make sure, but they helped us with this
I'll go
project.
do some math on it myself, but just to refresh me then, at the side of the lake, would have one, if we have one 250 and one 200, if ultimately we have a backup one, you only need to run one of those. So worst case there is, and you don't have, if we have the barge in the water, which have 150 horse pumps, I think, or were they 100?
The barge
The
motors?
barge pumps are
They're
150.
150.
150. 150. I'm just trying to get at, the worst case we ever really have to do is run a 250 horse
wait a
motor.
minute though, no, that's the worst case, but we have to factor in, if the barge is running, does it pump up to the tank and then we boost there?
Yes.
So what's that booster pump there?
That's 150
It's
horsepower.
150 too.
Yeah.
The booster is?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's
theoretically,
300.
that's 300 horsepower. See what he's saying?
Yeah.
You're not gonna need 300 kW, because you're gonna have to have some, because of the factors. But his concern is, our application says two 150s. If we put one down there, 150 won't carry the single 250 horsepower motor is what he's saying. So how do we adjust that? Can we, this is just to get the money?
You won't, huh? See, I don't, you know.
No, it won't. And I'm surprised Blackwater did that because
Yeah.
a 200 horsepower, if it's a submersible motor, has probably efficiency of around 80-some%. So you can, hold on, let me finish this equation. So you're gonna be pulling, if the motor's fully loaded, I'm saying 100% loaded, and the motors are designed to go to 115% load, you've heard that factor. You're gonna be pulling over 200 kW. So that's where you might wanna say, okay, an easy way for you to kind of look at this and get a number in your brain is to go to your electric bill and look at the demand charges from the PG&E bill. I know it's different, but you can go back and say when the pump was running, even if it's a year ago, that's a 200 horsepower, look at your KW, and if you can do, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes, I see
So
exactly what
a 75 horsepower turbine booster, if it's fully loaded, is going to be in the 60 kW, 62 kW range, but then you also have that motor down below the 150 or whatever. Or no, you said 150 horsepower booster
Yes.
at the tank. So you've got 300 horsepower, and so you're going to be pushing, 250 kW down there.
Are they gonna be running at the same time?
You have to run two when we're on the barge, because the barge fills the tank and the tank sends it to up here, so that's 250 horse motors running versus one 250, or in the old case, one 200. But the bottom line is 1 horsepower takes 3/4 kilowatt. So a 250 takes 250, I should sleep, 250 times 0.75. So that's, 187 kilowatts. That's kilowatt, kilowatt.
Okay.
So a 150 amp generator, 150 kW generator is not gonna run it, and you don't run a generator at 100% because they don't like it.
Is that filling up a tank, or is that, it's filling up a tank? Isn't the barge filling up the tank?
The barge fills up the small tank on the thing,
Yes.
and then that tank virtually continuously is pumping to the thing, and it has its own 150 horsepower. pump.
Yes, but do they have to both run at the same time?
Yes.
Yes, okay, Patrick, I just did a thing on the thing. 250 horsepower electric motor converts to 186 kW.
So that's,
What I just said.
Yeah, I was doing that, I wasn't paying, I'm sorry. So if you have two of those required, or, you get 100, so that gives you a factor, so the 150 kW generator, unless we're not understanding, this will not run your,
yeah, I wrote that down and I will definitely
Okay.
bring that to them.
Okay.
Now, with the application guidelines on here, this has been vetted by Blackwater. So,
Okay,
and this was, they were the ones who provided the numbers.
okay.
So I'm gonna have to talk to them.
That they're not thinking they're running at the same time.
Yeah, so with that, I know that the amount, the $300,000 is the cap, so that's what they're asking for.
Right.
But, yeah.
I guess our question is, are you locked into getting two 150s?
Yeah.
That's the question you have to find out.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely, I need to find that out.
I'm trying to go into a training session
Do
here.
we,
Typical 480 volt motor pulls 1.2 amps per horsepower.
do you need approval on this today?
250
No, this was
horsepower
a
would be
discussion
300
item.
amps. Times 1.7.
It was just an information discussion item.
Okay.
No
There's
motion
Yeah,
necessary.
there's no money
Three
typically, so.
That's 51, 519.
So what number are you giving me?
That's 519 amps it's gonna draw on that motor.
That's a lot.
That's
Times 480 equals 249 kilowatts
for 300 horsepower.
for 250. Well,
No, you're not gonna pull, you're gonna pull less KW, and we don't have to fix that here, but just,
Okay.
yeah, that's, okay. All right,
I have a quick question, Danny. And I
yes.
think it would be pertaining to the item before that. And maybe this was a dream that I had and that's totally wrong. But didn't you say that these generators that we would get couldn't be diesel?
No, you're right. Last year, that was one of the standards, that the HGMP,
Yeah,
it was the same, it was a fun, they were not going to be diesel generators because
the
it,
government doesn't like diesel.
yeah, but this opportunity
Is diesel.
is diesel.
Wow.
Yeah,
Take it.
yeah. So, no, yeah, that's a good catch, because, last year they were anti-diesel, and these ones are diesel, so.
Well, wait till this new administration, they'll be back to anti again.
You know,
50 KW, just round numbers.
and finding this,
Except,
finding these numbers, or this grant opportunity came from self-help, which you guys approved 2 months ago to help us. So they've already helped us with trying to find this opportunity. But yeah, last year was no diesel, and this year's diesel.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
They hate diesel.
yeah, I have a big propane tank at work, and that's a nightmare. I mean, the hazard plan we have to have, and it's insane. We're like one of 8 in this county, and it's just weird.
And now we're gonna get rid of propane in California too, so
We are?
that's what Newsom is
That's,
supporting.
yeah.
Okay, let's keep
Silly
going on.
nuisance?
You got some questions, and you
No,
gotta go.
that was good discussion, because you guys educated me, and now I have questions to bring forward, because that was discussion, there was no money, we're not entering into contract, we're not spending money on it for it, so.
Yeah, just, all you gotta do is say, hey, well, the question you say.
Undersized.
Yeah, undersized, what can we do here? Okay, so the last one is page 73 through 133, and this is the intake project biological study. And I went through it.
Yeah, it's not
Real
real fun
fast.
reading.
Yeah, okay, so is there anything you wanna say about that, or?
This is just checking the box.
Okay.
And with that, my notepad, which I forgot to bring in here, Augustine Associates submitted this, and they submitted it to the state, and with this, they were waiting on the air quality and natural resources study, which she's wrapping up, and she has to send in. So they set out a monitor down there at intake to see if we're putting out anything into the atmosphere, and then they were waiting like tribal lands to get back if that area was.
You really want to protect those settlements.
Yeah. So with that, she submitted it, and they're asking for opting out of a full-on review. The full-on review is going to take forever, and it'd go through the Army Corps of Engineers, it'd go through the feds, the state, every agency there is. And our original USDA, Sally Tripp is the original grant manager, which we've been working with. She was the one who said, hey, I think you guys could work around that. It's not really needed. You guys aren't even putting a shovel in the ground. So, we're not even really putting a shovel in the ground. We're just pulling stuff out and putting it back in. So, with that, they're waiting for a response on if we could go ahead with that, the quicker, less expensive option.
Not as comprehensive.
Not as comprehensive. And also to help that out, that was when they thought that the casing and the pumps were down in the lake. I just let them know that the casing and the pumps had to be pulled because of an emergency, and they can't tell us that we can't do that. So we had to pull those pumps, and now they are all out of the water because you guys wanted the next one pulled, so that was a good call. Because those are all out of the water, the pumps are out of the water, so now I think that's going to make our environmental go along a little quicker.
Just point of information. Page 77. As far as I see, this description is bogus. Because it's describing it as one 200 horsepower submersible pump and 125 horsepower submersible pump.
Yeah, in our ops plan, they had 120, our ops plan had a 200 and a 150, and then our maintenance plan had a 200 and a 125 written down. And then according to Randy, it was a 200 and a 150, and then according to Blackwater, it was a 200 and a 125.
Will you please confirm and make
Well-
sure that everything is,
Well, yeah, you know,
we have them out, so one,
yeah, but this was submitted a long time ago.
but there were two 200s, right?
No, there's not two 200s.
Because
Okay.
probably, Russ, at one point, if the lake is high, you don't need as much. So
I understand that. No, I understand.
Okay, so that
Yeah,
might be
but-
why there's a.
You know, and that's a good question, because that's, everybody around here has been saying two different pump sizes, you know.
I'm just asking you to really confirm once
Yeah,
and for all.
yes, so I know for a fact the first one we pulled out was a 200 horsepower.
Just, I would like to know at some point, but it's not
Yeah.
a priority of any kind.
All right, so again, big report for information purposes to help keep us moving forward with the grant application, so, all right.
Comments or not?
Howard page.
Well, that concludes the
No
regular,
comment on this or anything?
pardon me?
Any comments from the board members on that environmental?
Go ahead, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
You know, Patrick, there's a lot of things in here, like the tractors have to be rinsed off when they leave, and you can't get hay with seed in it. You know, I've been through this before, you know. And the thing I was going to tell you is really adhere to this thing. This should be your little Bible, because there are people in the government that will take this thing and really make your life miserable if they found seed in hay, or if they caught you taking a tractor, or the guys, all your contractors are supposed to get training. There are 100 different training things in here. That's why people hate these government grants, because you've got so many things you can get in trouble for. We won't, I've said it here, it's your responsibility, but I mean, it's awful, and I feel sorry for you, you know, and you'll have a contractor that could violate one of those.
Good
Run
luck
over a
if-
kit fox, or hit a spotted magpie, you know, and it's awful.
Good
But
luck if you
you
can
got
get
a lot
hay
of
without
stuff-
seed in
what?
it. Good luck if you can get hay without seed in it.
I know. But anyway, I just say, you just really adhere to this thing, and it'll be difficult, and, you know, it's,
Yeah.
because they make it difficult, and they want it to be, so they can trip you up, and there's people that just nitpick this stuff to death that you'll come across, and if you cross them, they'll make your life miserable. That's all I was gonna say, you know,
The
in terms of
positive,
this stuff.
the positive so far is
Yeah.
Sally Tripp, our USDA grant manager, overseeing everything. She's been extremely helpful and very commonsensical, and you know, she knows the financial hardships that the district's in. She knows how quickly we need to get this done, and she's doing her best to speed it
All I was
along.
gonna say is the environmental impact people that love this kind of stuff are now in power.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell you.
So
They
Danny,
work.
could I just make a request? Is there any chance that we could move this meeting to 1:30? I just wonder if that's,
If we want to go back, yeah,
that'd be great, then I can make it to every meeting on time.
Wait, what,
he's asking,
December meeting?
can we move the December
Oh.
14th meeting to
The
1:30?
the December 14th meeting
Yeah,
to 1:30?
yeah, and actually, I would like to do them all, if that's possible.
Well, you've got to change our
That-
enabling legislation or something somewhere.
Yeah, that's big to change.
But we can do the special meeting, Dan, without a problem. If we want to go back, let's go back to that motion to move the meeting to the 14th. I want to bring it back.
Oh,
So, you want to make a motion for the
Yeah,
December?
so I'll make a motion to approve the meeting on the 14th, but
Okay.
also at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Move to 1:30 instead of 2. Second
Okay.
that motion.
Okay, so you have a first by Dan, a second by,
I'm trying to find it, give me a second.
okay, you want the.
Do you know
page?
what number it is on the agenda? Oh, here it is. No.
It's item E,
Oh.
item E, 5E.
Oh, there we go.
So-
Okay, it was first by Dan and then second by Nellie.
Henry. All in favor of moving the meeting to 1:30?
Oh, I thought
It
Nellie
was
did
seconded
that.
by Nellie.
Oh,
Oh, it was? I thought,
I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
That's
I'm sorry,
okay.
Nellie, I didn't see. Okay,
I don't care.
okay, so it'll be 1:30 then on the 14th.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, no problem.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, any other comments on the report? Anybody other comments on the report that Patrick provided? Okay, that will conclude our regular meeting at 4:19, and we're gonna now open it up for the closed session.
And you might want to note for the recording that there's no public members to comment
Okay.
on the closed
and
session.
We will note that there is no public comment because there's no public at this point in time at our meeting. So we will close the regular session at 4:20, and
Okay.
we can take about a 5-minute break. We can reconvene at 4:25 and go into the closed session. I have to take it.
Okay.
So the report out is that Patrick provided us a packet for his review. Each board member will,
Oh, can you, the
oh,
time?
sorry, okay. We're gonna reconvene, it is now 5:15 on the closed session. We reviewed the materials provided for Patrick's review. Each board member will provide their individual comments privately to Director Hankemeyer, and he will summarize them and bring them back to the board. It's gonna be one-on-one communications, no back and forth. And we talked about that in this process, that each person will provide their comments in writing to him.
But there won't be a discussion
There will
between
not be
him and another
discussion
board member.
Until he brings back the summarized document to present to the board, assuming at the next meeting.
Okay.
All right? So that closes that out, and it's now 5:16, and we will call the meeting to completion.
Okay.
It says 6, doesn't it?